Happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111 and I am back finally. I know I've been gone a long time, but I promise you I am coming back brighter and lighter than ever before. I feel amazing. It really has been a great reset for me, this little hiatus. Thank you to those lovely loyal souls that are still with me, and welcome to all of the people who are finding me for the first time. I hope you enjoy your reading today. Today we are doing an old favourite. This is the you and them reading. This is the reading in which we look at your energy and your thoughts and your feelings, and we look at your persons. It helps us see all the parts that you're not seeing, all the things that you're thinking and feeling that maybe you hadn't acknowledged, and of course what they're thinking and feeling that they may not have told you. We'll be looking at the energies that each of you are bringing to this connection. So, you know, why is the connection the way it is? Because of the energies you're bringing. It's not always about what you're saying or doing. It's the energies that lie beneath that. So we're taking a really close look at that. And we'll also be looking at where this connection is heading. What are each of you intending or planning as your next steps? And we'll be looking at how those energies all add up to the bigger picture. So we'll do another row of cards down the middle that kind of ties those energies together and helps us understand, you know, the truth of the current energies, what's really going on here. All you need to do is choose a card, choose a pile. I've got 4 for you today. We've got a lovely cat theme. I love cats. And in pile number 1, you've got the ginger cat with the flower agate. And for this pile, we are using the Joy Seeker Tarot. For pile number 2, you've got the yellow calcite and the spotty cats. And for this pile, we're using the Cat Tarot. A quick thank you to Katie, who sent me this deck from my Amazon wishlist. Thank you so much. You guys really spoil me and I appreciate it so much. This is such an adorable deck and I'm excited to use it for the first time. In pile number 3, we've got the grey and white cat, and that's with the snowflake obsidian stone and the star spinner tarot. For pile number 4, we've got the black and white cat, an angelite stone, and the Considerate Cat Tarot. This is one of my old favourites. It's absolutely adorable. So take your time choosing, see which stone you're drawn to, which card you're drawn to. It may be the case that you're drawn to more than one pile. That just means that there are messages in more than one pile for you. Take your time choosing. The timestamps are in the description box below. That will take you straight to your pile and I will see you there. Hello pile 1, welcome to your reading and welcome back to Happy Twins 1111 and welcome back to me. I'm so excited to be back. I hope you're as excited as me, and thank you for joining me here and thank you for choosing this pile. I don't know why I'm thanking you for choosing this pile, but it's a lovely pile. I'm sure it's going to be great. You chose the Joy Seeker Tarot. This is a beautiful deck. You also chose this gorgeous ginger kitty cat and the flower lace agate. We're just going to put them over there for now. In this reading, we actually used 3 decks because we're inquiring about your energy. That's the Joy Seeker Tarot, and also your person's energy. So hold them in mind now. This is the White Newman Sacred Animal Tarot that I'm using for your person's energies. And then for the connecting energies down the middle, we are using this deck. This is the Lunar Soul Tarot. So we're going to be asking today how each of you are thinking and feeling, what's going on in your head and your heart. And we're also going to be looking at the energy each of you is bringing to the connection. Not the words, not the actions, but the energy, because energy doesn't lie. And we'll also be looking at where this connection is going. What is each of you intending in terms of the next steps you're going to take or what you want from the future of this? And of course, we'll be bringing through all of the guidance you need to move forward for your highest good. We're not just using the tarot cards. I've got a ton of oracle decks here and we will be getting out the trusty charm bowl. So stay tuned. Now, whilst I am shuffling, and I have shuffled these off screen, but I know you guys like to see me do it on screen. Whilst I'm shuffling, this is a really good time for you to just take a moment to breathe deeply. Just take a few nice, long, deep breaths. And just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most today. Hold your person in mind. Ask the universe for a sign if you would like. That could be anything at all. Just whatever pops into your head. It could be an object, a song, a name, a place. It could be an animal, a flower, a plant, anything from nature. There is no right or wrong. Just trust whatever comes into your mind. And if you see that sign pop up in your reading, pay special attention to the messages that are arising during that sign coming up. Okay, let's do this. Pile 1, you and them, what is really going on? What is the truth of this connection? I'm going to draw cards for you first. So this is your deck. So the first row is, what are you really thinking and feeling about this person? Okay, we've got the 10 of Pentacles. Beautiful, that's a good start. We've got the Lovers in reverse. And we've got the 10 of Wands, so 2 10s there. And what are the energies that you're bringing to this connection, pile 1? Okay, 3 came out at once, then we're going to keep them. We've got the Knight of Cups in reverse. We've got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. And we've got the Hierophant, bear energy there. And what are the next steps that you're planning on taking? Where do you see this connection heading? We've got the 8 of Cups. We've got the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. And we have got the 4 of Swords. Okay. Just going to straighten these out. I'm not an OCD person, but it just really pleases me to see order in the cards. Okay, let's get cards for your person. From the White Newman Tarot, we've got the 8 of Wands in reverse for thoughts and feelings. 7 of Cups in reverse. And the Queen of Pentacles. And what is this person bringing to the connection energy-wise? We've got the 3 of Swords. We've got the Star in reverse. And we've got the 3 of Wands, so 2 3s there. And what's this person's next steps? Where are they leading this connection? Whether consciously or otherwise, we've got 8 of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Sun. And we've got the Empress in reverse. Okay. And for the connecting energies down the middle, using the Lunar Soul Tarot. So these are the bits that, you know, whatever it is you're bringing into the connection, thoughts, feelings, energies, intentions, this is what it adds up to in the middle. So for thoughts and feelings, we've got the 5 of Wands. For the energies you're bringing, we've got the Moon. And for where it's heading, we've got the Page of Wands. Let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with this deck. This is the Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited. Hope you like my crystal grid today. It's got a little kitty cat right there in the middle. Hey, I love making them. Okay. Sacred Sexuality. And Transcendence. Right, we'll get more oracle cards as we go, but let's leave those there and start where we are. Okay. I'm going to start with you, pile 1, the person watching. We'll call you the querent. For thoughts and feelings, we can see that you definitely perceive this connection as a profound soul connection, but there is also an aspect of feeling resigned to what actually is. This does feel like the energy of surrender. This feels very much like me, that even though you have recognized, should we say, I mean, 10 of Pentacles is about completion. It's about abundance. So despite I'm hearing being separated from this person, there is an element of also feeling whole, feeling complete, of having surrendered the longing for what you think needs to happen or for what you think things should look like. This is you reclaiming your power. And we can see here with the Lovers in reverse that there is no longer any expectation of a relationship because it was too burdensome. You know, it sounds like you've stopped allowing this person to guilt trip you into being their peace because they were only giving you misery. And it kind of got to the point where you recognized it wasn't really going anywhere and it was taking more from you than you could afford to give. So this is actually a very empowering lineup for thoughts and feelings. With the Ten of Pentacles, we do have that stability and that security and that feeling of completion or wholeness, but we can see that it's not necessarily associated with an actual relationship. And so I'm hearing that you've pulled back, you've pulled away, you've not only accepted things as they are, but you've also drawn a boundary in terms of where they can be. This feels to me like you've been dealing with someone who I just think was bringing you an enormous amount of crap. And you're now learning that you don't have to deal with that it's not your crap. You can't keep shoveling shit for other people. And you can see from the number of reversals in the top row here that this person hasn't necessarily coped with that very well. I'm noticing the snakes, and even though I don't normally read them in terms of, oh, snaky, I definitely feel like they feel misled. They feel like you promised them the earth and then you snatched it away at the last minute. And so you may have spent a long time really chasing this person and really trying to convince them how much you cared, how much you loved them, perhaps how unconditional your love was. And then at some point you realized that you were just betraying yourself. And this person isn't necessarily understanding that unconditional love doesn't mean an unconditional relationship. So this person feels like you led them down a garden path, you led them into a false sense of security, and then you pulled the rug out from under their feet. And so they're not understanding why, but I really think that's just because they're not quite capable of seeing themselves. And, you know, there's a real energy of bitterness about this person. And people that are bitter don't even realize sometimes that they're bitter because they think they're so right. They're so fixated on a distorted or dysfunctional manner of perceiving things that they don't recognize where they've gone wrong or where they have contributed to the current outcome. And we can see with the Seven of Cups in reverse that they really are assuming that this is it. It's over. There's no going back. It's done. It's quite a defeatist energy. However, it's really interesting to note that you've got the Ten of Pentacles here on your side and the Queen of Pentacles on yours, and on your person's. And I do really think that, you know, both of you, deep down in your truest of truths, identify with the power of the connection and recognize it as true. And this person definitely sees you as someone that they have put on this pedestal to create stability in their lives, someone who can bring that peace and that nurturing. The Queen of Pentacles is a very nourishing energy. It's mother energy, it's maternal energy, it's care, it's stability and compassion. And so they really loved this about you. But now that it's been snatched away, we can see that they are feeling like that was a snaky move on your part, or perhaps that you intended to trip them up. I think deep down they know that you didn't. But again, that kind of dysfunctional way of perceiving things has definitely led them down a path of bitterness. And the connecting energies here is the Five of Wands. And look how sorry this person looks. They look so sorry for themselves. Now, the Five of Wands is actually about competition. It was 11:11 on the timer as I said that. Five of Wands is about competition, but you can see that this person isn't even in the game. You know, they're all clashing sticks and having this friendly banter, and, you know, it's about strategy, competition, games, but it's not deep, it's not serious. You know, there's an element of playfulness about the Five of Wands, but that camaraderie or competition is transformative because this is a number 5. It's about higher learning, and we can see that neither one of you is playing. Neither one of you is playing a game anymore. Sticks down, let's just go on with our separate lives. And so what we're seeing here is two people that have undoubtedly stopped talking to one another. you're certainly feeling more comfortable with this than them. In fact, for you, it may feel like, you know, a tremendous pressure has been released, but for them, it's created a lot of inner conflict, a lot of questioning of what they thought they knew about you, and definitely an element of bitterness there. Now, in terms of the energies you are bringing, this is really interesting. We've got Knight of Cups in reverse here. So you have gone from chasing to pulling back, no longer offering the cup, no longer offering yourself. You know, this has been you pulling back your energy. And we can see with the Two of Pentacles in reverse as well, that you have arrived at the conclusion that you cannot balance the energy for both of you. You can only do that, you know, you can only do your part. You're recognizing that someone who's at war with themselves is going to disturb your peace as much as their own. And you're not here for that anymore. You've recognized it's not your peace to make. And with the Hierophant coming through in terms of the energies you're giving, this is someone that is ready to transform, ready to learn, ready to grow, ready to find the key to their own evolution, their own ascension. This is, again, a very empowering lineup for you. You know, and you can learn a lot from a person by what they choose to see in you. You know, bearing in mind their thoughts and feelings are bitter, twisted, what a snake, I was tricked, it was just a dream or a mirage or an illusion, it wasn't real, I feel, you know, led on. That reveals a lot, how they choose to see you. And you're not what they see. And you know that now. This feels like, you know, you have massively found the magic you're looking for, and you've recognized that it's in you. You know, you've learned how much stronger you are. And you had to be strong. You used to perceive yourself as weak, but you were never weak. You had to be strong because you took an enormous amount of crap. But you're now realizing that you don't have to. And you did betray yourself by handing yourself onto a plate consistently to this person who didn't offer anything by way of reciprocity. And I really think you did all the legwork in this connection. You're the one that nurtured the communication. You're the one that shared, you know, literal value, perhaps in terms of gifts or time. And this person would stand you up, let you down, chop and change their mind, blow hot and cold. You know, I think even in some extreme cases for some of you, they didn't even contribute financially. If you went out anywhere, you know, you had to buy the coffee. It was just someone who wasn't prepared to put themselves on the line in any way, but they were comfortable taking from you. And so your energy now is sturdy. It's still slightly, well, it's on that midway point. So the Hierophant is not necessarily a super stable energy. It's the tipping point. It's the tipping point before you move into stability. And we have to remember that 5 is an odd number. So it's always going to be a bit wonky donkey, but we can see that you're there now. You're ready to cross over. And you may have already done that. And it feels like you've realized that absolutely nothing that is actually meant for you will require you to betray yourself for. You know, what's meant for you will be easy. It will be natural. It won't need you to bend over backwards and betray yourself and betray your needs and betray your desires and betray the value of your input. You don't need to do that. And I really feel like there are some really important lessons learned and very long, painful cycles completed that you're breathing a breath of fresh air at having moved past. For your person, again, you see this really dramatic lineup. The Three of Swords. The Three of Swords is about grief. It's also about betrayal, about heartbreak. And here we see a couple, and one of them is stabbed in the back, and yet the other one is still comforting them. There's a storm around them, there's clouds. And so, you know, this person probably relied on you to resolve their trauma. There's a real energy of victimhood here. You know, this is someone that spends all of their time complaining about their perceived failings without actually growing from it, just wanting your comfort, your nourishment. Again, this energy of mothering, this energy of please look after me, look how much I'm hurt, look how much I'm wounded, you know. And they need to shake off this self-abusive drama and recognize that not only can they recover, they can have a great life, but they're not ready to. They're not ready to do that for themselves. And you're learning now that perpetual victimhood is toxic. You know, this person looks at their life through the lens of finding someone to blame, and that keeps them stuck. And they're also looking for someone to save them. And this alienates them, not just from you, but from all that is good. And they don't see that. This is what I was saying about, you know, them being bitter, but not necessarily even recognizing their own bitterness because they are so convinced that they are right. We've got the Star in reverse, pessimism, negativity, someone who cannot see a future, someone who thinks everything is bleak and impossible. And so you can understand when this is the energy bringing to the connection, how you have become exhausted and stepped away. The Three of Wands is actually about fulfillment, and I'm noticing that snake again at his foot. It's an unusual energy to come up there in relation to what we've already discussed, but again, that snake, it really feels like, especially the individual solitary nature of that card, that this person's like, you know, I will stamp on the snake and I'll do this on my own, which I think they're doing it in a kind of throw your toys out the pram and have a tantrum kind of way. But this is good. This is actually a step forward because they've allowed you to step back. They've stopped being a victim, they've heard you say no more, and they are now taking responsibility. They might be stamping on you like a snake and thinking all the terriblest things of you, but at the very least they have let go. And the moon in the middle actually demonstrates a lack of trust. So whatever has gone on to create this state of affairs between you, what it's done is create the unknown. It's created darkness where everything was once safe, illuminated, predictable, and now it's unknown, it's hidden. Anything could happen. And there is an element of fear or trepidation or anxiety about the moon, but definitely it feels like both parties has at least agreed we can't be together right now. This isn't going to work. They've heard what you've said, you've heard what they said, and you've both made that decision and gone separate ways. Now, in terms of where this is heading, we've got the Eight of Cups for you. That's running back to yourself. That's running for the hills in order that you can recuperate, in order that you can, you know, make yourself better. You know, this feels like you recognizing that you didn't become harsh or mean. You know, you just became harder to manipulate. You're no longer confusing the two. You're now finding it in you to take care of your needs first, to look after what you want and need first. You're recognizing that you're not responsible for anyone else. And I think also you've learned that the hard way. You know, you found probably what they haven't, but you found that rock bottom is the most fertile ground for growth, and you are blooming right now. This is you going away in order to take care of yourself. But I want to remind you that the Eight of Cups, or the Eight of anything, always returns. It's an infinite symbol. And I really feel like you feel confident in that. You know that if this connection is meant for you at some point in time, you'll always find your way back to it, that the universe is always leading you to where you're meant to be. And that makes it easy for you to let go. We can see that there is a Three of Pentacles in reverse. This is about not cooperating, not collaborating. This is about you saying, I don't want any part of your mess anymore. There is nothing more I can do or say to help you move forward. And I really do feel like you have tried to, you know, but you're at a point in your life, and this is a really good sign that you're healing, right? Because you're no longer shrinking yourself for other people. You know, you can see now dysfunctional patterns, and you can recognize when they are not yours. And not only that, you are recognizing when, it's not for you to fix or to work out. And you're not only recognizing that, but you're repelled by it. You know, and that's the natural order. Like attracts like. When you vibrate up and you ascend and you start growing, you're going to recognize that your energy is different, and it will no longer be compatible with a lower vibrational energy, which is essentially what you're dealing with your person that you're inquiring about. They haven't arrived on the same point in their journey yet, so they cannot meet you on that bridge. And rather than you compromising yourself by going down the stairs all the way to their level, you've now proudly claimed your place on a higher vibration, and you're not going to let anyone drag you down. And that is absolute evidence of how much healing you have actually done and how much you've surrendered. And, you know, when people try and hurt you by bringing up the past, by, you know, saying, well, you told me this, or you said that, or you did this, you know, it's nonsensical. It's like trying to burgle the house you used to live in. You know, you're not there anymore. And neither are the energies that belonged to you when you were. You are a new person, and you're no longer triggered by this person's perception of you. Previously, you would have felt this overwhelming impulse to put it straight, to tell them, no, it's not that, to reassure them, to, you know, defend yourself and protect your good name. Now, I feel like with this Four of Swords, your only intention now is to take care of yourself. You're not closing the door to any future potential for this connection, but you're not opening it for the same old shit either. This is you standing your ground. You're not looking for closure anymore. You know, this person's still looking for closure, not from you, but from whatever trauma has beset them in the past. And they're not realizing that closure was in the lack of respect that people showed them. Closure was in the lack of apologies that came. You know, closure was in the lack of compassion, the lack of care. You were able to identify those things as closure, and you need to trust that they will eventually follow suit. For them, we've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, and you can breathe a sigh of relief, because as much as you care about them and wish them well, they are not going to make any effort to repair this, not in the short term. You've got to remember that the tarot cards don't look more than 6 months ahead. And I'm guided to remind you that how you felt about that statement, they're not going to make any effort to repair this. Be really honest with yourself in this moment. How do you really feel about that? Because your feelings around that matter. They reveal something very important. They reveal to you how healed you really are and where you need to still do some work. If you felt absolutely comfortable with it, then high five, you're ready to move forward. If you felt a pang of, oh, that's really not what I wanted to hear, then you're still hiding from some of those shadow aspects that keep you stuck. It's really important to be honest about how you feel. I hear so many people say, well, I've done that work, I've done this healing, but they're not admitting to themselves how they really feel, because a part of them knows they shouldn't feel that way if they were really moved on, healthy and balanced. And so they deny those feelings within themselves. So you're being asked to reflect there. Pause the video if you need to, journal about it, take a minute. How did that really make you feel? This person is too embarrassed. You know, you have wounded their pride by pushing them away, by saying, I'm not taking this drama anymore. You know, I don't want to be around for it anymore. They have literally been so wounded in their ego and their pride that they will no longer try and make an effort. And I would argue they weren't making much of an effort in the first place, but they have definitely pulled back. Yeah, their intentions are not to come forward. They've got the Sun here. And then this is a good card for them to come up, because the Sun is playful, it's youthful, and there's something very natural and nonchalant about this energy. It's Leo energy, and you can only hope that that pushback from you has divinely inspired them to start taking care of themselves, or at least to try and start perceiving the world through a more gentle lens. You know, because they need to shake off a lot of dark, a lot of shadow. They've been waiting for you to fix it, or for someone else to fix it. Well, no, you know that no one else is going to fix this for them. God knows you've tried. You know, you don't have that power. They're the only person that can fix that. It's on them. And the Sun is a really beautiful sign of their intentions. That suggests that maybe, just maybe, they are ready to start anew, to go back to the beginning and start facing their trauma. They have got the Empress in reverse, and that is a non-creative energy. It's an inability to manifest or create the energy that they want. And what they're missing is that, you know, the shortcut that they're probably very desperately seeking is actually in consistency and discipline. This is what this person lacks. But look at this row down here. Queen of Pentacles, Three of Wands, the Empress, all the threes, which are both Empress, Mother energy, and then the Queen of Pentacles, that Mother energy at the top. This is this person being in feminine energy, whereas they may have previously been in masculine, that wounded pride. And that's what Leo represents. If you remember the Leo card, sorry, the Strength card, which represents Leo as well, it has that woman prizing open the mouth of the beast. And, you know, the beast represents that ego, that beastly part of us. We all have a lion inside of us, a kind of beastly, unevolved, egoic aspect. And it's through the presence of that feminine intuition and divinity that we're able to tame that aspect. So God willing, that's where this person is heading. They're not there yet. There's still that energy of pessimism. As we discussed, there is still that energy of bitterness and resistance. But what we're definitely seeing is maybe, just maybe, a little bit of light and a little bit of movement into the right energies that will continue to percolate and feed their forward path. The connecting energy here is Page of Wands, and I love that because it's playful, it's simple, it's also divinely inspired and impulsive. The Page of Wands only acts when he feels the overwhelming urge to. He's not interested in what he should do or could do or what the books say he should do. The Page of Wands only acts on that spark of creation within himself that says, oh, I really want to do that and I can't resist it. It's like divine drive. And it's a really innocent energy. It doesn't pause to speculate. It doesn't, you know, run it through the ringer multiple times to try and figure out the truth. It just acts on the divine impulse and the divine knowing. And it does feel to me like for both of you being in that energy, you're just going to take this connection as it comes. And so, you know, the guidance there is to trust. Trust. If you feel the urge to reach out and say hi, do it. You're not necessarily betraying yourself by maintaining communication if it feels like it's what you want. And just because you say hi doesn't mean you have to keep that conversation moving. It's okay to say hi and then bye and just check in. But both of you, it seems, have created an energy or intention that will continue to allow you to flex according to the divine needs of the moment. This person has a choice, evolve or repeat. Honestly, it still looks uncertain as to which they will choose. It seems like the energies that would allow them to evolve are presenting themselves, but they get to decide whether or not they want to. And I'm reminded of a quote. I'm trying to think who said it. I think it was Alain de Botton. He said, work begins finally when the fear of doing nothing becomes bigger than the fear of doing it badly. And I really think that's where this person's at. They're at a tipping point as well. They're on the cusp. They're ready to move towards that 5, which is transformation. But we can see with all the 3s that come through that at the moment they're very much stuck in that in-between place. And they need to move into that 4, that healing, that 4 of Swords, that creating order and stability. Deep down, they know they're magic. They know that deep down, they are magic. But no one else can fix it for them. You know, no one else can stop their magical arse either. They have to do that. And so they need to call back the person that they used to be before they got into this victim mentality, this trauma that just seemed to floor them. The person that was funny and playful, the person who had a kind heart before it was stamped on by whoever hurt them. And I don't think that was you. I think you were consoling them. You were trying to help them move through it. And after a period of time, you realized that you could not, and that they weren't taking any responsibility for that. They weren't being accountable to themselves. And you're understanding that just because their pain is understandable doesn't make their behavior okay. It doesn't excuse them from showing you basic respect and a basic level of care. You're recognizing that a real friendship or loving relationship cannot exist without equal contribution and balance and reciprocity. You know, so you're definitely finding within yourself now the power to choose you, and hopefully that's going to inspire them to choose you as well, to choose themselves even. This is beautiful. Right, let's get some more cards. We're going to get some guidance cards. Let's start with these oracle cards. Sacred Sexuality, number 6. And Transcendence, number 3. Now, 3 and 6 are magical numbers. 6 is the number of love. 3, as we've already discussed, is the number of creation, manifestation of the divine feminine. It's beautiful energy, and I love how it's illustrated here as transcendence. It shows this person looking very sorry for themselves, but slowly but surely rising up to reclaim their full power. This is about transformation. It's about ascension. This is a beautiful energy for you to show up. And we've got sacred sexuality. Now, I know that may seem counterintuitive to what's going on, and certainly in any relationship during a period of separation, it may feel like there is no space or opportunity for a sacred sexuality or connection. For those of you that think that, I encourage you to read books about, I'm trying to think of the one that I've got that I've read, Judy Hall. What is it called? It's something about Egyptian sex magic. She talks about divine feminine and divine masculine energy, and how sexuality is a sacred part of those connections. And she shares exercises and meditations that you can do independently to nourish that, because sexuality is creative energy, and it feels like it's been largely absent from this connection. So bearing in mind this is a creative phase, especially for your person, by working with that sacred energy and using it to manifest intentionally and deliberately in a focused and determined way, you can bring balance to the whole connection, and especially to yourself, as much as it will support them. But let's get some more cards. This is the Divine Animals Oracle, one of my favorites. I love the animal oracles. We are going to do an extended reading today. Let's keep going with this for now though. Okay. For you, we've got Lynx. This is Secrets, number 2. And for them, we have got Beaver, which is Work. Okay, and from this deck, pardon my dog, we've got the Sacred Light Oracle, Ascension cards for the Spiritual Seeker. And for you, we have got Lord Melchizedek, Indecision, Ego-Based Actions and Lifestyle Changes. And for your person, we have got Light Seeker, Light Quest, Visionary, Mental Strength and Resilience. I love that. Okay, let's get some more of these. Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited deck. We've got Balance. And we've got Athena, Goddess of Wisdom. And for your person, we've got God of Sensuality, Dionysus. Again, that sacred sexuality coming through. So maybe that's more for them. And God of Awakening, Romako. And I'm going to choose one for the connecting energies here for this, the guidance. Goddess of Rage, Sekhmet, number 6, another number 6. Okay, and from this deck, the Sacred Earth Oracle. Oh, okay, that one wanted to come out. We've got Revolution. I love this. I'm feeling guided to put it up there. And then one for each of you. Magnetism. And Ready but Waiting. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Based on what we've read so far. Okay, let's get the charm bowl. This bowl gets bigger and bigger as I get more charms. Right, I'm going to give it a stir. And then I'm just going to kind of reach in and grab some randomly. Right, so let's dig in. Okay, what have we got here? First one is Mr. Bean. I love this one. And the numbers on the car, it's the letters STE, Salsa Tango Echo, and 952 Romeo. And you've got the little Ted there, Mr. Bean's Green Mini is what I meant to say. What's next? We have got Too Many Tabs. A flame there and a laptop. That's an interesting one. Friends don't lie. Stranger Things. And quote there. The true heart. Oh, I love this one. This is an FBI badge, but it's Fox Mulder as someone from The Simpsons. It's like X-Files. And we have got, finally, here lies all the F's I give. I'm not going to say it out loud in case my channel gets banned. We don't want that. Okay. So, people, let's read the guidance for you here. I feel like I need to start with the charms. Mr. Bean is a tricky one to read, but something that really stands out to me about him is how playful and how gentle and sincere he actually is. You know, he's not manipulative. He's not trying to think ahead or trick you. He's just being his mad, crazy, weird and wonderful self. Cars are also about the journey, and the teddy is the comfort object, isn't it? The part that we take along with us. But look at it, it's outside of the vehicle. There's a strong message there that you have to travel outside of your comfort zone in order to get where you need to go. Green is also the color of the heart chakra, and I really feel like you're both being asked to approach it from an energy of playfulness and, well, let's see what happens. Let's try not premeditate it. Let's just go. But both of you are being asked to travel outside of your comfort zone in order that you can progress. Don't complicate things. You know, the trial by fire here is too many tabs. That means too much information. And you can relate to what happens, right? When your computer has got a million tabs open, it starts working really slowly. Things load more slowly. So use that as a metaphor for what happens in the mind. When you are procrastinating and ruminating about so many different things, you are literally creating chaos and disorder in your own mind. You're creating an energy with which you can't really have balance, have alignment, have clarity, because there's too much going on in the background. So this is a message to both of you, you know, to clear the deck in the head and to start creating space in which you can think about one thing at a time. And then once you've done it, right, I'm not going to allow my mind to stray there for the remainder of the day. And this is especially true for your person who has a predisposition towards pessimism and ruminating over and over again and dwelling on the things that pisses them off. Friends don't lie. And unfortunately, sometimes we do. I don't necessarily think they've deliberately lied. I think maybe this is lies by omission. I do think there are things that you haven't said to each other out loud and that haven't been expressed. Probably because neither one of you really wants to have conflict and neither one of you wants to hurt the other. And it's so interesting that the one that followed this was true hearts. You know, and I think there's a powerful message here that you can be honest with each other. And actually, the next time you speak, if you bring forward that honesty and instead of avoiding it and lying by omission, find ways to be more tactful, more diplomatic, more ways to communicate from that place of equanimity, maybe you'll see the kind of progress that you weren't able to achieve before because both of you were tiptoeing around your real feelings. The FBI is about investigating things more carefully. Remember, Fox Mulder investigates the things that on the surface appear to be weird, mysterious, or not entirely real or true. And so I really think that both of you are being encouraged to recognize that everything is not as it seems and that you need to dig deeper to really understand things. Here lies all the F's I give. I love this one so much. I really think this one is quite self-explanatory, but in terms of guidance, I think it's reminding you that none of this matters. There is no wrong, there is only lessons, and you really, neither one of you needs to dwell on this or put as much pressure on yourselves as you have been doing. Just trust that everything's working out the way it should be and the way it needs to. This is a revolution that is occurring for both of you. Link is about secrecy. And indeed, Lord Melchizedek, and I can never say his name right, Melchizedek. Both of them are about, well, we've got hidden and we've got ego actions. So both of them combined are connected to those hidden aspects of the ego self, hidden aspects of the shadow that you're perhaps not acknowledging. There's a lifestyle change needed here, and also something you've been indecisive about. And I'm hearing in your case, it's your commitment to your spiritual practice. You can't cheat your way to ascension. Energy doesn't lie. You can study and do all the intellectual work and talk about it knowledgeably, but if you're not walking the talk, you're not going to see the kind of movement you expect. And I do think you're at a stage in your journey where that's really being demanded of you. We've also got Beaver for your person work, and this visionary mental strength and resilience energy. Your person may have been out of work for a period of time, and the universe is literally telling them to get back to it. Now is the time to have a work change if they already have a job, or to start something new, just to give their mind something more positive to be occupied with, and to allow them to start training their mind to focus on other things rather than just what bothers them. We've also got balance here, and the goddess of wisdom, Athena. Weirdly, I was just reading about her this morning. She was said to have risen out of the sea foam as the daughter of Zeus. And so she's powerfully connected to wisdom and knowing. And of course, that's represented by the owl. So this is about balancing what you know and recognizing as well that all energy is dual aspected. Within, we are both masculine and feminine. And this is something that I'm only recently, and I don't want to say master because I feel like that's jinxing it, touch wood, that it's not jinxed. But I'm starting to understand how we combine these two aspects of self, the inner divine mother and father. I'm actually holding a workshop about it. So if that resonates for you, go and check out my website. But certainly here, you're being reminded that there are two aspects, and that it's your masculine aspect that holds it together. The masculine aspect within you is the provider and protector. That's the energy you were looking for in your person. Now that you're finding it within yourself, you need to recognize how you unite those energies to create balance and to really access the highest aspects of your mind, the wisdom and the clarity that can be obtained when you train yourself to process in that way. These are both number 4s. They're both masculine energies, and it's so interesting to me that the masculine energy is over here and the feminine's over there. It feels like you have both switched. For your person, we've got Dionysus, Ramoko, again, sensuality and awakening. Your person is definitely being awakened. And it's interesting to note that when our Kundalini starts to stir, it is a heat, because it stirs in our sexual centers, which is why sexuality is so euphoric and beautiful, and why we love that climax, because it literally stirs us up in that deepest place, that place that connects us to the seat of our soul and to God. So it definitely feels like your person is stirring, and they just need to embrace and embody that. There is unprocessed rage that exists between you. Again, these are the unspoken truths, the things you didn't want to say through fear of hurting one another or creating even more discord in this connection. But that's something you can process independent of one another, and it's something that needs to be processed so that when you do bring it together, you can create harmony from that and work it through. You've got magnetism on your side, which again is the balance of that light and dark, masculine, feminine aspect. Think of the battery. You can't cut it in half and expect it to work. It has a positive charge, a negative charge, and that's what creates the power. Magnetism. This is what you're working towards. This is what you're on the cusp of, part 1. And your person is ready but waiting. They're ready to grow. They're ready to heal. But look, this lady hasn't set the dove free. This person still hasn't figured out quite how to liberate themselves from what they've been going through, but they are on the cusp of it. And it may help you to understand that, part 1. They can only take action when they're ready, when they feel that divine impulse at that page of one's lens. But the universe is doing everything it can to conspire to bring that state of being about for this person. And hopefully they are on the cusp of massive growth. Now, we're going to take this over to the extended reading. You can find a link down below even, for the extended. But if you're not going to join me there, thank you even for joining me here. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all your beautiful comments. Please hit the like button. It really helps my channel to grow. The more you interact with the video, the more YouTube will promote it to other viewers, and that really helps everything move forward beautifully for me. In the extended, we are going to find out more about this connection I want to know more about this truth and lies stuff that's going on, more about what needs to be investigated and processed in order to bring about that revolution, for you to balance your magnetism and for them to get out of ready into waiting. If you would like to book a private reading with me, you can find a link to my website in the description box below. I'm at happysouls1111.com, and you can also book some other services and classes with me there. Hopefully I'll see you there. If not, I hope I will see you here again. Thank you for subscribing today, sending you lots and lots of love, pile one, and wishing you the best day ahead. Take care now. Bye. Hello, pile two. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Cat Tarot, the Spotty Cat, and the Yellow Calcite. And we are asking today, you and them, what's really going on in this connection. As you know, this is the reading where we will be looking at your thoughts and feelings and their thoughts and feelings. We'll be looking at what energies you're each bringing to the connection, and not necessarily your actions or your words, but the energies, because the energies don't lie, you know, the vibes. And what's going to happen next, what's in the pipeline based on the current trajectory that's being created by your individual intentions, thoughts, feelings, and the actions that you intend to take. And of course, we will be getting all the guidance. We'll be using the oracle cards and the trusty charm bowl. I'm going to give these a shuffle on camera because I do it before, but I know you guys like to see it. So this is the deck we're using for you, pile two, the Cat Tarot. For your person, we are using the White Newman Tarot. That's this deck. And whilst I'm shuffling, this is a really good time to just hold your person in mind. Hold the person you're querying in mind. Visualize them if you can. And set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. It's also a really good time to ask the universe for a sign. That can be anything at all. It could be an object, something from nature. It could be a name, a place, anything at all, a specific word. Pay special attention to the messages that show up alongside your sign. This is the deck that we're using for the middle. What are the energies in the middle? And that's what you're bringing, they're bringing, and what it adds up to. This is the Lunar Soul Tarot. I have to say, I absolutely adore this deck. It's one of my all-time favorites. If you are new to tarot and you're still learning, it's wise to start with a Rider-Waite tarot, or at least a Rider-Waite inspired. And this deck, the Lunar Soul, is perfect for beginners because it's got Rider-Waite inspired images, but they're just so pretty. And the colours are so pretty. I love it. And I love Kay, the lady that designed this. She's amazing. Actually, I think it might be non-binary, they. I beg your pardon, Kay. But yeah, it's very cool. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to draw cards for you first, pile two. You drew this card, by the way, the one you chose is the Five of Pentacles. So that's about rejection. It's about the rejection wound. So not necessarily within this relationship, but it is what was being triggered. And 5 is a transformative number. It's about changing over to the other side. Think of it as like a tipping point energy. It's the midway point before you move to the other side of your awareness, situation, or whatever that is. That's really significant. But let's draw some cards. What are your thoughts and feelings, pile two? We've got Justice in reverse. We've got the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And please don't worry about reversals. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's just a blocked energy. I don't necessarily read them as something negative. I know not all readers use them, but I like it. Right, Death. That's not meaning death either. I'm sure you guys know that. Okay, what energies are you bringing to the connection, pile two? The Fool and the Seven of Pentacles and the Empress in reverse. So you've got a lot of major arcana cards here. That means this is quite a significant situation. So far, more than half. Where's the connection heading? Strength, another major arcana. That I believe is the Nine of Swords, but I'm going to double check that in a minute in the little book. This is a new deck. And the Chariot in reverse. Let me just check that one. Nine of Swords. Yeah, the swords. Okay, let's get some cards for your person. How are they thinking and feeling about you, part 2, in this relationship? 5 of Wands in reverse. 3 of Cups in reverse. And the Fool in reverse. Interestingly, that came up for you, just in a different position. Hope you like my grid today as well. I've got a little kitty cat there curled up in the middle. Right, what energies is your person bringing, part 2? The Hermit. The 5 of Pentacles. So that was the card that you chose. And the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. Lots of Pentacles, actually. So we're seeing a lot of material world issues. And where's this connection heading as far as this person's concerned? 6 of Cups in reverse. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. That came up for you as well. Oh, no, it didn't. It was the Chariot, I beg your pardon. And Temperance. Okay. So, cards down the middle. Using the Lunar Soul Tarot. Connecting energies to thoughts and feelings. Okay, 2 came up there. We're going to keep them. We've got Fool in reverse and the 6 of Wands. Energies you're bringing to the connection. What's the middle card? The Magician in reverse. And where this is heading. What's the connecting energy, please? 10 of Cups in reverse. Okay, we need to get some oracle cards. We're going to start with this deck. This is the Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited. Okay, 2 came out. We're going to keep them. We've got Abandonment and Fear. Now, that is so interesting because, as I said, we've got the 5 of Pentacles here was the card that you chose, and that pertains to rejection and the rejection wound. So the fact that abandonment and fear has come up here definitely reveals that this is an ongoing energy in the current relationship between you two. But let's start with your energies, pile 2. Justice in reverse, 9 of Pentacles in reverse, Death. Now, for one, you've actually got the 9 at the center there, and 9 of Pentacles in reverse is someone who feels that they can't necessarily take care of themselves. Now, you may not consciously articulate it that way, but technically it is a fear of being alone, fear of abandonment, and yet that is actually an oppressive place to be, which is why we see this bird contained in a cage. When we fear being alone, when we are codependent and we're not able to exist comfortably and happily without a relationship in our lives, we become really vulnerable because we're going to make decisions based on that fear of being alone rather than based on the reality of the connection or relationship at hand. And when we have Justice in reverse, it shows us that you are working through some pretty rough karma, and likely this relationship has ended, and it's probably you that has ended it. But what I'm hearing is you end it frequently and you always go back. So this is what we're dealing with here. You don't like being on your own, but you don't like being mistreated. So you end the relationship, but you always end up going back because the rejection wound, the codependency wound eats you alive. And look at this Justice card. This is a cat biting someone. So, you know, there was definitely mistreatment here. When we look at your person's energy, we've got 5 of Wands in reverse, 3 of Cups in reverse, the Fool in reverse. And I have to say the vibe from this side is one of carelessness. And not that they don't care about you, but they are not tuned in enough to their own heart, to their own sensitivities to actually demonstrate care, understand care, and be thoughtful about care. They're not hearing you. And I think this is actually your bone of contention. It doesn't matter how many which ways you explain to this person how their behaviors make you feel and how destructive their interactions with you have been, nothing changes and they don't seem to understand and listen. You may have been gaslighted and invalidated and your concerns minimized. And yet what we're seeing here from you is this perpetual banging your head against a brick wall, trying to get through to this person about your grievances, about your concerns, about your pain. And then we've got the Six of Wands and the Fool in the middle as connecting energies, which remember we've got the Fool here as well. Certainly as it stands right now, it looks like this isn't going anywhere. And it seems that you're both in agreement with that, that no matter the love that exists here, this relationship cannot be victorious. But I'm hearing that it's been a long time coming for you to arrive at the conclusion that no, I really can't do this anymore. And even though you've made that decision, it really hurts you. It burns you so much. And, you know, you just want it to be okay. If you had a magic wand that you could wave, you would just make the relationship work. That's what you both want deep down. But your person is in a very dramatic denial, and you have definitely reached the end of your tether. Death is a perfect ending. It's a transformation that's occurring within you. And I'm hearing that you're already on the healing path. You're recognizing that staying in this relationship is a betrayal of yourself, and you're really trying your absolute hardest to stay the course, but you can't help how you feel. You miss this person, and you worry that if they came back and said the right things, as they often have done in the past, because it's like they know what you want to hear, but they don't know how to deliver on it. But if they did come back and say the right things, again, you may find yourself on the same sorry path as you have before. When we have the Five of Wands in reverse as feelings, this is someone who at the very least is recognizing that they can't keep battling with you. The Five of Wands in the upright position is about competition and games. It's a battle for control. Think of it as a hierarchical struggle for the pecking order. I don't know why, but I'm being reminded of chickens. Maybe that was someone's sign. But if you've ever bought chickens new, when you put them together for the first time, they are evil. They're so horrible to each other. They will fight and peck until one of them establishes dominance. And when you see a kind of gaggle of them all together, a flock of them, I should say, you'll notice that some are really submissive and won't get involved in the bullying. They will just be bullied. And then there'll always be one, which is obviously like the top bitch, which will just mercilessly peck the others until they've all submitted. And this is what the Five of Wands is for me. It's that working out the pecking order. And when two people are arguing and in conflict, quite often it's not necessarily about peace and equanimity. It's about who's right, who's really in control. And of course, that only happens in dysfunctional relationships when one or two people aren't able to communicate from a place of peace and equanimity, and that their ego drives them to simply win, to maintain control, and to maintain order. And I think this is how your person has approached it, because they can't necessarily allow their ego to take a step back from their heart. And so the ego always overrides emotion with this person. And I don't think they even realize they're doing it. I don't think that they are entirely conscious of how destructive it is. But for them, it's more about control, which is why when you say to them, you've really hurt me, or, you know, you said or did this and that was really tough for me, they will get ultra defensive and they will deny responsibility and accountability, because their ego will not allow their heart to engage with that process. For them, it's all about maintaining control and maintaining their position rather than it is about resolving it. And we can see with the Three of Cups in reverse as well, that as much as they enjoy your company and have fun with you, and I really do think they miss you, they know that they need to stay away. And that is quite considerate, because I think they know that if they did come back and say the right things, it would all pick up again. But they're not going to, because you've probably begged them not to. I'm literally hearing, please, for the love of God, leave me alone. Let me heal. Let me move on. Stop coming back and promising me things you can't follow through with. So the Fool in reverse here and here shows us that neither party is at the moment feeling like they can entertain a reconciliation. In terms of the energies we're bringing, we have that dramatic contradiction of the Fool over here. Here it's in reverse in terms of feelings, but in terms of the energies you're bringing, you have got a new beginning. It's just not necessarily with each other, because here we've got the Seven of Pentacles, which is about beginning that hard work. But we also have distorted feminine energy. And what I'm hearing in your case is that as much as you're frustrated with them not taking responsibility for themselves, you are taking responsibility. This is you recognizing your own dysfunction, recognizing your own part in this whole debacle, recognizing how your codependence trips you up and causes you to make decisions that don't actually serve you and don't actually resolve things. You're recognizing yourself as a people pleaser. You're recognizing yourself as someone that keeps adjusting your boundaries according to the needs of the moment rather than according to your principles, values and needs, full stop. And so those constant adjustments means that you're always making allowances for ill behavior because you just hope it can be improved upon, rather than recognizing, well, the boundary is I don't tolerate that behavior. And so it's not, well, let's see if you improve. It's just, I will not tolerate that behavior. So I think what you're realizing is that it's not actually their responsibility to maintain your boundary, it's yours, and that you simply need to start saying no. Distorted feminine energy is codependent. It's that, again, like the rejection wound we're dealing with, it, which comes up again for your person here. It's about recognizing that healthy relationships aren't transactional. There is always a degree of transactional energy in any connection, but it's not what they should be about primarily. You know, and the modern relationship paradigm is you fill my cup and I will fill yours. But the problem with that is that at some point in our lives and throughout a relationship, for whatever reasons, usually reasons not even connected to the other partner, we will not be able to maintain that rhythm and flow. And it's not because we don't love someone or because we don't want to or because we don't care. It's because we're up against our own limitations. For example, you may ask for something really simple. You know, I need you to do X, Y, Z for me. And they'll say, yeah, I understand that. I get why it's important, but then they just can't do it. And you think you're being a deliberate asshole. You know, you're doing this to me to mess with my head. Or it's abusive or whatever, but most of the time people don't know why they're doing it. They're just coming face to face with their own limitations. And so relationships that are entirely transactional and rely on that transactional reciprocity generally tend to fail, because at some point you will fail to meet one another's transactional expectations and then all hell breaks loose. Relationships that are based on love first, not transaction, not what you can get from it, but just love, tend to fare the best because they understand that give and take isn't always in perfect harmony or rhythm. Sometimes we can give more than we want to take, and sometimes we take more than we can give. And that's the natural order. We're human beings. You know, sometimes we're drained, we're exhausted for a variety of reasons, and we can't give as much as we normally would. So relationships that can flex and be yielding tend to work better, but those relationships can only work when both people are interdependent. If you are codependent and you haven't learned to take care of your own needs, then when that person stops meeting them, you're going to suffer. Because love and care is a very necessary sustenance. But if your person stops giving it to you, you're going to suffer because you haven't learned to give it to yourself. Therefore, codependence is defined by the inability to love and care for oneself, making us reliant or dependent on that love and care in another. And this is the energy which both of you bring into this relationship. And you need more than them, which is, you know, it's typical of most relationships. There's always one that's more empathic and needy and one that's more avoidant. That's the usual dance in dysfunction. So for them, we've got the Hermit. This person is withdrawing. They're quite comfortable in their own company. You know, they are more avoidant than you, but they are feeling absolutely wounded. And I'm hearing they haven't necessarily shown this to you. They've not necessarily put it in your face, because that would be a loss of control to them. It would give you too much power to know that you have somehow hurt them or somehow wounded them. you know, to them, that is giving away their power. And yes, that sounds crazy and dysfunctional to you. That's because it is. But this is how they perceive things. And the Four of Pentacles in reverse is a desperate urge to let go. In the upright position, Four of Pentacles is somebody that is clinging on tightly. It's a possessive energy. So we know, because this card is on the table, that they're feeling it. But they are trying to let it go, and they know they need to. This is the energy they're bringing. Work through this on my own. Don't let this person see how wounded, how rejected I am. But both of you are very, very triggered here. Both of you are feeling very disempowered. The Magician in reverse is about not giving energy to this connection. Don't think about them. Don't feed it. Don't text them. Don't speak. Let's try and just put it in the past. And I definitely think there's that energy of avoidance in both of you. But you're both suffering. You're both just dealing with it in different ways. They are languishing in self-pity and worries me and trying to hide from the world until they feel okay again. And you are over here trying to figure out how to resolve that distorted feminine dysfunction. When the Empress is in reverse, you are also disempowered from your energy of creation. And, you know, women aren't meant to chase. And I say women, not as a gender specific, but as an energy, a divine feminine energy. Feminine energy, when it's balanced, doesn't chase. It receives. And so when you start chasing, you're leaning into the distorted aspect of that feminine energy, because you're no longer recognizing or valuing your own power. And so this is the power you need to reclaim, and that they definitely are doing some self-reflection, which is long overdue. And there's a lot of denial here, but there is also a lot of knowing that they can't unknow. And when I say that, you have dropped some real truth bombs, some crazy big truth bombs, and they may have denied them, or they may not have even replied, but they felt it. And you can't unknow the truth. Once it sets seed within you, it just continues to grow. And so even though their ego may not allow them to really perceive it and understand it and reflect upon it at this moment, it's there, and it's set seed, and it's going to continue to grow. So you've got to trust that the truth bomb's doing its work. This is definitely someone who is self-reflecting, because we have the Hermit here. I felt I needed to bring this bird up to the screen. I don't know, for those of you that are looking for signs. So, you know, in terms of the energy, both of you know that you need to take care of yourselves, and you need to try to stay away from each other. In terms of where this is heading, this could go either way, because the middle card here is the Ten of Cups, but it's in reverse. But what matters is that this card is on the table. It's on the table, it's just a blocked energy. But the future isn't set in stone. The future is created every day in every way by the ingredients we put in the bowl. And those ingredients are formed of the choices and the decisions we're making, and the consequent actions or conversations that arise from that. Nothing is by chance. Everything is created by your power of free will. And we see a very complicated, indecisive mix of energies here. Let's start with strength. Strength is beautiful, and we're coming up to the Lionsgate portal, which is Leo energy, the lion energy. It's all about strength of heart. Do come to the meditation, by the way. You can find it on my website, links down below. The 8-8 portal meditation is always absolutely magical, and it's free or by donation, so no need to pay. But 8-8 and strength is all about learning to tame the inner beast and to rise above the ego self, so that you can lean into your divinity and operate from that true strength of heart, from that purity of your own heart. This is a beautiful, powerful card to come up in terms of your intentions pile 2. This really indicates that something has shifted in such a major way compared to the last time you ended this relationship. You know now that you cannot just go back to how things were, and there is a bigger drive and sense of determination in you than there ever has been before, that you need to start getting out of your dysfunction and your ego and the trauma that has created all of this mess for you, and into your power. This is about taming all of those wild aspects that make life so volatile for you, and learning to lean into that divinity. And we've got here, and it's an interesting card because we see a cat scratching, but this is beg your pardon, it's upside down. This is the Nine of Swords in reverse. This is about letting go of stress. The Nine of Swords upright is insomnia. It's anxiety. It's wrapping yourself in knots, worrying about things, being preoccupied with fear and the what ifs and all the terrible things that could happen. And those things are so oppressive. First of all, fear isn't real, but it keeps us so stuck. When we what if that, what if this, what if that, when we speculate and ruminate about what could happen, we actually create storylines, scary storylines that have no basis in truth. You might argue, well, they're fair observations based on history or based on, the things I've seen going on or the data I've collected. But in reality, it's still not true. And if you're going to speculate and ruminate and ask what if, you should at least keep that focus positive. But it definitely feels now that you are done doing that. You are recognizing the power of your own thoughts. You're recognizing your role in co-creating your future. And you're also recognizing that you get to choose how you show up, but you can't choose how they show up. This is powerful growth for you, part 2. And I know it still hurts. And you may not have integrated it across all levels of your being, but you have grown enough to know it to be true. The Chariot in reverse does show us, however, that you're a little bit lost, that maybe you don't necessarily know how to get from A to B. Maybe there is still some fear and uncertainty about the path that lies ahead and how that's going to unfold for you. We were talking about the portal meditation 8-8. We've actually just done one for Cancer season on 7-7, and that was a meditation about the Chariot. Again, it was free or by donation. If you weren't there and you would like to watch the recording so you can do that meditation, drop me an email and I will send you the link gladly, because I really think that will help you, part 2. And it is scary when we have an ending and we start a new beginning. The fear of the unknown, is terrifying, because everything you thought could happen or might happen or you hoped would happen is stripped away. It's like the rug being pulled out from under you, and all of a sudden there is no vision, there is no daydream, there is no ideal, because we're kind of in no man's land again, wondering, well, what the hell is next? First of all, just celebrate that is a beautiful place to be, because anything is possible from that place. Anything is possible, and the universe is asking you to trust that there are only wonderful things ahead for you, and that as you co-create your reality, when you focus on the positive and choose to dream that new world into being, you ensure the future that was meant for you. So this Chariot, you need to bring back into balance. You need to redefine your inner purpose and your inner truth so you can start taking baby steps in the right direction and trusting yourself to take those right steps. That is also part of healing codependence. When we are codependent, we often rely on other people's influence, input, or opinion. If you're the sort of person that tends to go and ask all your friends or your family or the people you trust, what do you think I should do? What do you think about this? And this happened. What do you think about that? If you're the sort of person that needs advice, needs guidance, and still feels confused and indecisive, that is really indicative that you are disconnected from your own inner truth. And that's not to say that guidance and advice isn't valuable. It helps us expand our perspective. It helps us think about things we perhaps hadn't considered, or look at things in a way that we hadn't before. But those people can't make decisions for us. Not one person can actually tell you in truth what is meant for you and what isn't. That's something you feel in your own inner compass. And when you realign with your own inner chariot, that divine part of you that's always leading you along the right path, you can learn to trust yourself again and release another aspect of that codependence. Your person is equally confused. They've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, they've got Temperance upright, and they've got the Six of Cups in reverse. What an incredibly interesting lineup for someone that we've initially perceived as being fairly avoidant. Your person is deep, and I think this is what frustrates you. You see how deep they are, you sense the light in them and the depth in them, but they seem so unwilling to explore it or discuss it with you. Whereas you're an open book and will happily share all of your deepest feelings and thoughts and ideals, they keep their mouths shut. They'll listen to you, they may demonstrate interest, but they just don't share as much. And I do think that this person is quite secretive and mysterious by nature, but this person feels very deeply, they think very deeply, and there are a number of cards here that indicate that, no less the Hermit. But the Six of Cups in reverse is also letting go of a soul connection, and that's really beautiful because they do perceive you as a soulmate. They may not have admitted that. Perhaps they're really uncomfortable with the idea, again, because it makes them feel powerless or that they're not in control. But they are recognizing that I can't do this, whatever I think about it. However deep and meaningful it feels, I can't do this anymore. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse, very similar to your Chariot, is not knowing where the wheel is going to land, what's next, and feeling very uncertain about the future. And I want to say as well, this person's quite angry with you. They're angry with you for giving up, but they're only angry with you for giving up because they don't want to confront the anger they feel for themselves for not having made it work. So because they're not ready to take responsibility, because they're not ready to be accountable to their own wrongdoing, instead they are going to languish in this energy of, well, it wasn't my fault, you know, it was because of this or because of that, it's because of them, they shouldn't have given up on me, they didn't try hard enough. They're not seeing it themselves, they're putting it all on you. So there's a bit of blaming there because they're not ready to see themselves fully. But one thing they are intending to do, look at this with Temperance, bring themselves back to balance. And Temperance is about filling your own cup. So remember I was saying, you know, in dysfunctional relationships, you fill my cup, I'll fill yours. And it's a, you know, nice transactional, comfortable arrangement until it's not. This is them calling themselves off relationships forever. They're literally swearing themselves to singledom forever. This is someone that's like, I can't do this relationship stuff because it's disabled me so much from feeling in control, from feeling in my power. Being emotionally disrupted and volatile makes them feel weak. It makes them feel like they're not in control. And so they're resisting that. So this person is leading deeper into those layers of avoidance. And believe me, there is nothing more stronger or more powerful than someone who as a child learned that you can't trust people. And we all deal with this differently, right? Some of us grow up with adults we can't trust and we become trusting because we don't want anyone else to feel how we felt. We become empaths, people pleasers. Oh, poor you, I'm here for it. You can trust me. I'm so nice. We overcompensate for the horror we experienced by being the polar opposite of that. Other people, they become avoidant. They decide that they can't trust anybody and they stay away from people. They're not interested in being nice because they don't believe in nice because no one showed them nice. And so they just lean back, they lean away, they become avoidant and they become insular and solitary. This was your person's natural state of being until they met you. They have relationships with people that exist on the surface that are shallow interactions that don't drag them into the deep. But yours was different. Your emotions were all encompassing and that light sucked them in. It spoke to their heart and they didn't like that for no other reason that it made them feel incredibly vulnerable. And now you've left, they've gone back to that same old narrative of, well, you can't trust anybody. So this is a really sorry state of affairs. However, I want to remind you, it's not your job to teach them that they can trust people. I'm going to repeat that. It is not your job to educate them and teach them that they can trust people. They, like you, has to learn to trust themselves. Then and only then will you release the barriers, the inner trauma that stops us from having trusting, open, balanced relationships. You need to remain responsible for your role. Let them be responsible for theirs. Abandonment and fear are the energies which both of you have existing in. Looking at this, we see a little boy here looking absolutely crestfallen and a father figure leaving. And then we see this person, oh my God, what is going to happen? And both of you are always expecting the worst. You react to it in different ways. You react to it by being needy. Please give me more reassurance. I'm feeling so insecure and I need you to show me how secure this can be. And then by not wanting to get close, because close is scary. The closer you get, the more you're going to get burned, the more you're going to get hurt. And when it goes wrong, I knew I couldn't trust someone. It validates what they knew. And for you, when it goes wrong, I knew I wasn't worthy enough. Like I say, two different storylines. You're not trusting people turned into, I don't deserve to be treated a certain way. Theirs turned into, I cannot trust anyone. You personalized it. You made it about you. They made it about everyone else. In both cases, you stopped trusting yourselves. It's deep. Okay, let's get some oracle cards. So we're asking for guidance now. We're going to get some charms as well. What do you need to know about moving forward with this? Because as I said, we've got that 10 of Cups there in reverse. That suggests that there is potential for harmonious, loving relationships in your future. That potential is currently blocked. There's a barrier there, and you are both the barrier. You both contribute equally to that barrier. But I think you needed to know today that deep down you both want the same thing. It's just that you have two people that are broken and don't know how to achieve it. And you're both wanting the other to fix it. You want them to be more of this, that, and the other, and they want you to be more of this, that, and the other. And you can't be anyone but yourselves. And until you start resolving your own pain, which will remove the dysfunction from your relationship desires, that's when this can be harmonious. As we're seeing at the moment, there is a very real barrier there. So that's unlikely to come to pass, but the universe wants you to know that the potential for it exists. That doesn't mean you should rush back into this relationship. On the contrary, it means you need to fulfill your own purpose of regaining your strength and listening to your own inner truth, and that they very much need to do the same. Okay, guidance for you. Oh, and sorry, I forgot to say, this is the Divine Animals Oracle. For you, we've got the fruit bat or flying fox and the goat. And for your person, we've got raven and we have wolverine. And from this deck, this is the Sacred Light Oracle. Energy attachments. And Cosmic Gateway. And for your person, woo, okay, they wanted to come out, didn't they? Universal Macabre and Soul Family. And then from this one, this is the Sacred Earth Oracle. Another one of my faves. We've got Center and Brilliance. And I'm going to get one of these for the connecting energies for guidance, and then we'll get some. Oh, there's two came out. We'll keep them both. We've got Shift and Surface. Let's get some charms as well. Give them a stir. This bowl gets bigger and bigger. The more charms I get. My friends buy them for me and people send them to me. And I love it. I love the charms. So we're going to give them a really good stir. And dig into the bottom and grab some. Okay, what have we got here? We have got the tape measure. We've got the Mr. Bean car that came up for pile 1 as well. We've got Don't Give Up. We've got Sad Songs. Serotonin Deficiency Club, VIP members only. I Love Hot Mums. Someone's a MILF. And No Idea, the Broken Bulb, and finally, Save Yourself, Floppy Disk. I wonder how many of you don't actually know what a floppy disk is. Tell me in the comments if you don't know what a floppy disk is, and I'll tell you how old you are. All the older folks are being like, yep, bitches, we know what that is. Okay, so what is the guidance for you two? The tape measure is very important. It reminds you to be measured. Check everything. Observe everything carefully and weigh up the pros and cons very carefully before taking action. I'm guided to show you the numbers that are more deliberately indicated here, which is 4, 5, and 10. Together that's 19, and also reduces to 10. And 10 is a restart. It's a new beginning. It's the Fool and the Magician all in one. So before you do anything again, you need to do a complete recce of what has already happened. And you need to learn from that. You need to be measured in your approach. And you need to push out of your comfort zone. The reason I say that, Mr. Bean's teddy, that was the worst impression, I'm really sorry. His teddy is on the outside of the car. And so the car being the vehicle that carries us, and you know, he can't access that comfort from where he is. For those of you that want to see this close up, if the numbers are significant, they are STE952R on the number plate there. It's a green car, which also represents the journey of the heart. You're going to have to push out of your comfort zone in order to resolve this, but do not give up. It's really important that you find a way through the clouds, that you find that optimism that's going to help you resolve this. As far as sad songs are going, I just think this is how both of you find a lot of respite. Music speaks to you, and I think that you're really able to work out your feelings through the energy of, you know, lyrics and music, especially your person who isn't very good at expressing. They really find so much comfort and cathartic energy in music. And so that sometimes is a really good way for you to communicate. Perhaps not now, but in the future, if you find a song that seems to really accurately sum up what you're feeling or what you're struggling with, that's a really great way to reach out to and interact with them. Serotonin Deficiency Club. This suggests that there is some mental health challenge between you both. Perhaps you both have depression or anxiety or some other mental health concerns, or perhaps it's just one of you. But that's something that needs to be resolved, because it's going to distort how the other behaves. Whether it's you or whether it's them, it's going to distort how they behave, because depression is like putting a blindfold on ourselves. It stops us from seeing our truth, because everything is being filtered through the lens of our fear, through the lens of our misery, and we don't necessarily get the most accurate view of how the world really is when we are in that state. So again, taking care of yourselves is so important, and I do feel that at least your person, and probably you as well, judging by where the Chariot and the Wheel of Fortune was placed, you just don't know how to do that. So we need to get some practical advice, and we'll do that in the cards. But, you know, you need to commit to finding out. Just because you don't know doesn't mean there isn't an answer. You need to keep digging until you find out how. Leave no stone unturned. If you're determined and consistent, you will figure it out. I love hot mums. I mean, if you are a parent, if you are a mama, I think this will explain a lot. I guess that's a little nod from their higher self validating you. Maybe they're the hot mama. But also, maybe it's that you need to be a hot mama. All too often when we become mums, we lose ourselves. Parenting is all consuming. You know, we had loads of money to spend on ourselves before. Now we spend it on our kids. We forget to all the grooming and the getting excited about a new outfit or a new pair of shoes. Everything takes a back seat until we feel unrecognizable to ourselves. So there could also be a message here about, you know, reinventing yourself and recognizing that just because you're a parent doesn't mean you can't have autonomy, and that you have to lose that personal sense of identity or who you are. You are beautiful as you are, but you maybe don't feel it. So a beautiful reminder there. Save yourself. This really reminds you that you cannot save each other. Again, I repeat, you are not responsible for educating this person. It's hard enough to change yourself without having the burden of trying to transform someone else as well. It's trying to shift before you can come up to the surface for air. This is about you two needing to go in the deep, independent of one another, in order to bring about that required healing. For you, pile 2, we've got fruit bat, flying fox. Here that's called kindness. And we've got goat, which is about reliability. And what I love about you, pile 2, is that you are kind and that you are reliable. You know how it feels to get hurt. And so you've made it your life mission to be a good, decent, nice, kind human being, to not hurt other people in the way that you have been hurt. And you pour yourself into others, trying to prove how worthy and lovable they are, to help them feel special, all the while walking around wishing that someone would do the same for you. You are that person, pile 2. You know how to love others. You also know how to love yourself. You have to be this person for you. You have to show up for you. You have to pour that love into you. Think of all the gifts you've spoiled others with, all the ways in which you've been so thoughtful and kind and sweet and loving. Pour it into yourself. To hell with everybody else. This is the you era. This is you taking back that power. Not because you haven't got energy for anyone else, but because you deserve a dose of it. And you have to have that dose of it. It is essential to your well-being. You already know how to love. You just need to turn it toward yourself. You're also surrounded by some unpleasant energies. This says energy exchange, negative influences, and self-sabotage. Now, the dark is not something evil or, awful. It is shadow aspects of self expressed to us through the vibrational aspects that are external. So we attract what is in us, and the dark will always exploit that vulnerability within you. So your shadow aspect, being self-sabotage, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, is going to literally magnetize all of the experiences that reinforce that to you. So you starting to feel better about yourself will literally raise the vibration of everything in your life. And I don't think you're realizing that the law of cause and effect. I think, therefore I am. Whatever you believe, you're right. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, whether you believe you're good enough or whether you believe you're not, you're right. You think, therefore you are. And you're not recognizing that, and this is part of your karmic cycle and the untangling of that self-sabotaging energy, is that you co-create your reality, and that your doom and gloom expectation of everyone's going to hurt you and no one's going to love you enough because you're not really worth it and you don't really deserve it, trips you up every time. But look, this is a number 8 again, the same as strength. Insecurities, connection with others, and refocusing. The cosmic gateway. This is the 8-8 portal that is coming up. This is an opportunity for you to have that great reset and to center and balance in all of the power that is available to you. You have got this, pile 2. You need to understand that you are ready to pivot and live life in a new way. I know you feel it in your bones. You just don't know how. Start with meditation. You can't know yourself if you don't sit with yourself. Meditation is the equivalent of, when you're at a party and you can't be bothered with all of those other pricks there, you just want to talk to your friend. And so you huddle away in the corner and they face you and you face them. And in that moment, nothing exists in that world except you and them. You know that kind of intimacy, right? You have to create that with yourself. If you do not have that with yourself, how can you really know who you are and learn to actually show up for yourself and be, your best friend, your own biggest advocate and supporter? You have to show up for yourself. And meditation is the way that you give yourself that time. Think of it as making a date with yourself. For your person, we've got Raven, which is news, and we've got Wolverine, which is fierceness. I really think this pertains to work for them. Something is going to shift quite dramatically in their material world, and this news is going to create a new way of being. It's going to open up an opportunity in which they can actually grow and start moving in a direction that serves them better. But they need to, recognize the opportunity and actually embrace it. This person is quite defensive. We have the number 5 again there, and this is a 23, which reduces to 5. And as we started with 5, with that 5 of Pentacles and that energy of rejection and abandonment, one of their challenges is actually taking the next step. They may often intellectually know when they need to, but Actually doing it is another thing entirely. And so again, you have this same energy of, I know what I need to do, but I don't know how. We've got Universal Merkaba, which is a vehicle for ascension. Here it says a sacred purpose. You have the answer, lucid dreaming. Deep down, they do know. The only thing standing between them and what they need to do next is their resistance towards actually doing it. And this is where bringing in their soul family can actually help them, because it says here, happy reunion, support, order from chaos. So, you know, this person does actually have balanced spiritual people around them, perhaps not in their immediate network, but there are people that they can lean to that will help to inspire them and get them on track. And because they are so avoidant, so independent, so reluctant to accept support, it's not easy for them to go and ask that. But if, you know, if perchance they do watch this video, they need to go and, you know, connect with their own soul tribe that are going to help them really integrate the truth of what those next steps look like. They have magic in their bones. They just don't necessarily know how to bring it forward and how to make it real in their current reality. It feels very much to me like they are constantly disappointed with themselves and never quite achieve what they aim to achieve. And there is a lot of self punishment for that. You know, they really do give themselves a hard time. They may call themselves a loser, or I failed, or, you know, I never achieved what I set out to achieve. I'm not good enough. And isn't it interesting how those self-sabotaging thoughts are very much mirroring yours, just for different reasons? And I think this is why there is actually so much compatibility with you two, because even though your individual experiences are so different and the way you've reacted to them is so different, the energy and the feelings underneath it all and the root of those wounds is actually very similar. And so I think that's why you kind of understand each other. So I really hope that was helpful today. I'm going to take this over to the extended. I want to get more practical guidance. I want to know more about this 10 of Cups and, you know, what the potential could be and what those literal gaps are that need to be fixed and repaired in order to remove those barriers. I want to know more about, you know, what's brought you here and the guidance you need to rise above it with more clarity, more power, and more faith. So if you would like to join me at the extended, the link is always down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for your beautiful messages and comments. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing. And very special thanks to those of you that take the time to watch the commercials, because that really does make the world of difference to my family. And it also means my video will be promoted more. So win-win for everybody. It's the perfect energy exchange, and I am so grateful. If you would like to book a private reading with me, check out my meditations, live events or classes, you can find me at happysouls1111.com. I will see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you here next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, Path 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Star Spinner Tarot, the very cute grey and white kitty with the tiara and snowflake obsidian. This card is in fact the Empress, so we'll look more at that later, but let's start shuffling your cards and getting your reading ready. This is the you and them reading, the reading in which we look at the energies of both you and your person. We are looking at how you're both thinking and feeling about one another. We're looking at the energies each of you are bringing to this relationship or connection, and we're looking at where things are heading, and we're looking at how those individual energies of each of you adds up to be this relationship, so you can truly see your part in it and what's really going on. Now, I'm going to shuffle the cards on screen. I do it before, but I know you guys like to see it. And whilst I'm shuffling, this is a really good time for you to set your intentions for the reading. So hold the person that you're inquiring about in mind. Visualize them if you can. Just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. Now, we use 3 decks for this reading. Star Spinner for you. This is the White Newman Tarot. Here's the box for that one. That's what we're going to use for your person. We will also use a 3rd deck, and that will allow us to see how the energies connect up in the middle. We'll shuffle that one in a minute. But whilst I'm shuffling, also ask the universe for a sign. Now, a sign can be anything at all. Trust whatever pops into your mind first. It could be an animal, an object, a name, a place, something from nature. There's no right or wrong. Just trust whatever pops in. And when you see that sign pop up in your reading, pay special attention to the messages that rise up alongside it. Right, for the middle cards, we're using the Lunar Soul Tarot. That's this deck. Give those a shuffle as well, and then we will start drawing. We're using oracle cards and charms as well. Let's do this. There will be an extended reading today. So if this resonates and you want more, you can always find the link to that down below. But let's do this. We're going to draw your cards first, pile 3. What are you thinking and feeling about this person? That's the Knight of Cups. The Magician. I love this deck so much. The Five of Swords. And what energies are you bringing to this connection? Remember, energies aren't actions or words. It's an energy. Energy doesn't lie. The Chariot. The Lovers in reverse. And actually, I should point out, so this deck has a number of different Lovers cards. And I think it's so to cater for people's individual gender preferences and sexual orientation. So this one is man on man. I've kept them all in here because dealing with masculine and feminine energy at the spiritual level is relevant to us all. So the fact that this is man on man is really important. So that's in reverse. And then we've got the Six of Wands in reverse as well for the energies you're bringing. And where is this heading? What are your intentions, desires, and pending actions that are creating the trajectory for the next phase of this relationship? We've got the Three of Wands in reverse. We've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And we've got the Queen of Cups in reverse. Okay, let's draw cards for your person using the White Newman Tarot. What are they thinking and feeling about you and this relationship? We've got Judgment in reverse. We've got the Hermit. And we've got the Knight of Wands. And what are the energies they are bringing to the connection? We've got the World in reverse. We've got the King of Pentacles in reverse. And we've got the King of Cups in reverse. That's interesting because you had the Queen. Okay, and where's this shifting according to their intentions? Page of Swords in reverse. Seven of Swords. Queen of Wands. Let's get the energies connecting down the middle. Six of Cups for thoughts and feelings. For energies, we've got the Ten of Swords in reverse. And for where it's shifting, we've got the Knight of Cups, the second time that card showed up. Right, let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with the Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited deck. Where's the box? That's this deck. We're just going to move that there so we've got room for these guys. Okay, Goddess of Nurturing, Kuan Yin, number 10. And Physical Ailment, number 7. Okay, let's let's start. Okay, pile 3. Your thoughts and feelings. I do think that actually you are feeling quite clear at the moment, even though you've, sought out this reading or whatever for guidance, for advice, whatever it is you were seeking. I don't think you generally watch them that much anymore. And actually you probably stumbled upon this by accident and thought, I just feel this funny impulse to watch it. Because there's things that you're not seeing and not acknowledging, but generally speaking, you are actually perceiving this whole relationship from a much clearer perspective than you have been previously. I'm picking up on a lot of energy of forgiveness, a lot of acceptance, a lot of recognizing that anything that arose from this that was hard and difficult was never, intentional abuse or disrespect or any of those things on either your part or theirs. Actually, you're recognizing the really valuable lessons that were contained within it, and that you were both simply acting according to your limitations, your wounding. It's that philosophy of hurt people. You see this now, because this is actually a really nice balanced lineup of energies, but we have got that inner conflict here with the Five of Swords. And I know that sounds like a contradiction to clarity, but if you look here, this angel is holding the Three Swords, which is symbolic of pain, betrayal, but they're holding it. They're being accountable to it. It's like, this is mine. I'm going to take care of this. And the Two Swords, which represent indecision, they are reaching out for them. And they're wedged into this skull, which is symbolic of death or transformation. So this is quite different from the usual Five of Swords, which shows some kind of bloody conflict with people being stabbed up and stuff. This shows no such thing. It shows someone that's grown their wings. They've got wings in their hair, which reminds us of Hermes. Hermes had the wings in his hair, and that's because he had ancient knowledge and the knowledge of truth. So you actually have a lot of clarity, and you are now knowingly bridging that gap, which will help absolve you of any indecision that remains. So your feelings are actually quite lovely. The Knight of Cups is normally depicted or illustrated as someone offering his cup, and yet in this one we see him keeping it to himself. He's not holding it out in front of him. He's looking at it very carefully. He's recognizing the power of his cup, and he's knowing when not to give. And that is so important for giving people. We have to know that, when we give too much, and there is such a thing as too much, it puts undue pressure on a relationship, because there's a kind of silent expectation of reciprocity. And so when we are in a codependent energy, we will often give and give and give in the hope that that person will be inspired to give something back. So it's not really authentic giving. It's giving in order to receive. It's transactional. And it feels like you are really bringing this back into balance. You're recognizing that you have to fill your own cup first, and you're recognizing that you don't always have to share it, and that actually at certain times it may not be appropriate to do so. You've also got the Magician here, which is about feeling empowered and recognizing now that you're able to co-create the future you need. No surprise, I think, that the card you chose was the Empress, the creator. And obsidian, by the way, is very, very protective. So your person not faring as well with this. They're kind of matching your energy in some way, because actually in the same positions we have knights, and in the same positions we have major arcana cards. Yours is the Magician, theirs is the Hermit. So while as you're expressing this creativity in your outer world, your person has completely gone within and feels that they must be secretive, but they are at least self-reflective in that energy. And the Knight of Wands is actually inspired passion. And again, this card is very different to the traditional image, because normally we see the Knight of Wands racing forward with absolute divine impulse, unable to control that impulse. He just has to race forward and get it now. And yet here we see this Knight of Wands more like the Knight of Pentacles, rooted to the spot, face covered, very self-protective, a flame above his head to symbolize that light, that inspired guidance. But he's taking a moment. He's no longer simply acting on impulse. He's learning to be restrained. And so what we're seeing here is two people whose feelings are evolving, two people who are learning not to act on just impulse. And quite often impulse is in our trauma. A lot of our dysfunctional impulses are born of trauma, and we'll think to ourselves later, God, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? But it's because trauma and the programming that it created within you created that autopilot response. Now we see a much more pensive approach to thoughts and feelings, and certainly both of you are not expressing them, at least not to one another. But look, these two face each other. The Hermit looks away, but the knights both look in towards center. Now, we also have Judgment in reverse. Judgment is about awakening. It's about, well, it's the opposite of being asleep, right? The word woke has been horribly politicized in our current climate, but to awaken isn't necessarily about recognizing conspiracy or what's going on in the world. It's about awakening to the truth within you, to your truth, to your power. It's awakening to yourself. It's that self-awareness that allows us to perceive the world more clearly. And your person isn't quite there yet, but it would be fair to say that being in hermit energy, they are actually getting there, but they have withdrawn from their feelings. We don't see much emotional movement here at all. We see thoughts of, I can't do what I want to do and I'm not going to do it. That comes with the Knight of Wands. They're feeling fiery, they're feeling passionate for you, but they've decided they will not act on it. Why? They're needing to lean into themselves. They're needing space. And so you're being reminded again, nothing is personal. This is all to do with their current limitations. The awakening energy is definitely leaning in on them. They're becoming more aware of themselves, more self-reflective. They're finding it harder and harder to ignore the truth of who they are, but they're not entirely leaning into it yet. They're not ready to. They're scratching at the surface, trying to figure it out, still building the courage to get there. So while as you're recognizing all of this dysfunction within yourself and you're keen to put it to bed, they're still not quite on that same wavelength. The Six of Cups is beautiful, however, and whilst there was an absence of handing the cup here and an absence of movement here we see that giving and receiving and the growth that ensues. The Six of Cups is about soulmates. It's about remembering. It's about the connection that goes back through multiple lifetimes and bonds us through that shared experience. And it definitely feels like both of you recognize not only the meaningful impact this relationship has had on you, but also the meaningful nature of it. That it didn't just spring out of nowhere, that you've known this person for many, many, many lifetimes before. And I think you would both agree with that. And this is actually a really beautiful energy to be coming in for combined feelings, because it's about love. 6 is the number of love. It's an ascending in love. And this is so beautifully illustrated. The cup has got all these images on it which make it look like the world or a map. And then we've got these other cups which show us that progressive growth up to full bloom. And of course, 5 cups is about change, transformation, at which the point of 6, we achieve victory and love can be realized. Hence, take my cup and then reaching out for it. So this is actually fairly positive. You know, this is 2 people that perhaps aren't taking action towards one another right now. They're not revealing feelings, but they are both doing some very deep and meaningful work on themselves and growing. Granted, you're growing at a faster pace than your person, but you are both growing, and ultimately you have the same ideal in mind. The energies are also very cool. For you, we've got the Chariot, the Lovers in reverse, and the 6 of Wands in reverse. Now, the Chariot is that divine pull. It's come up in a lot of the readings for this video. And if you didn't attend my 7/7 portal meditation, which happened at the beginning of July at 7/7, of course, that was all about the Chariot, because this is Cancerian energy. It's a free or by donation meditation. It isn't on my website anymore, but if you drop me an email and you'd like to see it, I will happily send you a link. The website is down below in the description box. But the Chariot, think of it as your divine vehicle that is carrying you along your most intended path. It knows where you're meant to be going. It has a higher awareness, but it is unstable energy. In fact, we're best to kind of approach this card from the perspective of good fortune, but it's volatile, it's unstable, because the Chariot has you as the driver, but if you're not always in tune with the Chariot's, shall we say, nudges and hints, and those sensations of truth that it's giving you, you may not always direct it according to its proper course, because ultimately you have free will. That's your superpower. And we can see that it's leaning into the past. It's facing away from the center point of this reading. And I really feel like one thing you're not aware of, as far as your own intuition and energy is concerned, is that whilst you're learning to listen to your intuition, you have not yet become super discerning. And so you often translate those fear-based impulses, those need or ego-based impulses, you confuse them with divine impulse. And so the chariot isn't always following its true course. And it may appear, actually, from looking at this, that the actions and behaviors and energies you're bringing have been counterintuitive to the success of this relationship. And we can see why with the Lovers in reverse. As I said, it matters that this is masculine or masculine, because we have both energies within ourselves. We are both feminine and masculine inside, yin and yang, positive, negative, light and dark. We are vessels for the totality of both charges. And in relationships, we tend to balance one another out according to our dominant expression. And in your case, you are very masculine in your approach. In fact, it's interesting to note that there are many masculine energies here. A nice balance, but really we've got four masculine versus 2 feminine cards here. So it doesn't mean you're in a masculine body, but many of us grew up in environments where we had to be independent. We had to take care of ourselves. We had to learn how to take charge, maintain control and order. If you were raised in a household where emotional expression wasn't encouraged and perhaps even ridiculed or vilified, then you likely learned to reject your emotional, intuitive self in favor of your logical, proactive, controlling self. And that means you probably have some great qualities of being assertive, masterful, you're a natural leader, you're self-preserving, you're able to take care of yourself and guide others, all qualities which can make you very successful in a variety of environments. But in relationships, if that's what you're leaning into, you are missing something really vital, because relationships work when there is harmony and when you have 2 masculine energies coming together, 2 people needing to take control. And if that resonates with you, I guide you to watch pile 2, because there's some stuff about that in there too. But what you have is 2 people that are battling for control, that think they know best, and that haven't learned to operate from the basis of both masculine and feminine divinity, i.e. alignment or balance, and lean into one or the other due to a desire for safety or self-preservation. And so, in terms of the energy you're bringing, I don't think you realize how forceful, masterful, assertive you are, and how emasculating that can be if you're in a she on he connection. Because men by nature are protector providers, but if they think you don't need them, they start to feel like useless human beings. Now you could argue, well, they shouldn't have such fragile egos, that's ridiculous. It is in real terms, but if they are also operating from distorted masculine energy without that balance of alignment and equality within themselves, that distorted ego is going to play as much havoc as yours. And so you can see where it clashes in the middle. We've also got the 6 of Wands in reverse, and that tells us that fundamentally you arrived at the conclusion a long time ago that no matter how much you want this to work, it's not going to. That was what you decided. And because you do not believe in the success or potential for success of this connection, you're always anticipating and waiting for it to go awry. And that has very much been an energetic presence within this connection. Oh God, what now? I knew this was going to happen. I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd do that. I knew you wouldn't stick to that. I knew you wouldn't follow through. You can see how that disparages and undermines any potential for resolution and progress, that attitude. And this is the energy that you have unwittingly been bringing in. Your person isn't exactly being a hero here either. So, before you get defensive, and if you are defensive, if you're feeling defensive about that, journal with that. That's your ego and your soul highlighting to you where you need to heal. But we were talking about distorted masculine energy. Your person's got 2 reverse kings. You can't get more distorted than that. And they've got the world in reverse. They didn't want this to be over, but neither did they know how to be the man, whether they're a man or a woman is irrelevant, how to stand in divine masculine energy and give you what it is you wanted. They felt like a perpetual failure. And so you've got someone here that thinks, well, they expect the worst of me anyway, so I can't really, if they set the barrier that low, I can just roll right under it every time. And you know, because you had no faith in in them, they didn't see any point in trying to inspire faith in themselves. We've got two kings, King of Cups and King of Pentacles. These are both the kings of stability, provision, protection, emotional nurturing. They are beautiful kings. They are Scorpio and I always forget that one, Taurus, I believe. No, it's Capricorn. Scorpio and Capricorn energy. Capricorn is so nurturing. It wants to look after you. It is the ultimate in divine masculinity. It's the dad that never fails to show up for your games and congratulate you when you did well, that will sit down and help you with your homework and remind you that you're the best and help you figure out all the things that are making you crazy or that you can't work out. The King of Cups is the dad that will listen to you and love you and care for you and knows how to use his emotional wisdom and depth with absolute power and certainty. These are really beautiful, divinely masculine energies. They are both in the reverse. It shows us that your person has the potential to embody these energies, but they do not know how. And these are exactly the energies you want. You want someone that can meet you on that emotional bridge. You want someone that can make you feel safe and secure. In fact, you would probably say you want someone better than you. You want someone that can look after you because you feel like you've always had to look after you. You feel like you have to look after everyone and you don't want to look after this man-child. You want a grown-ass man that can look after you too, and you just do not feel that this person lived up to that, and they see that reflection of themselves. And so it is. You guys are mirrors for one another, and this is the distortion that's arisen from that. The world in reverse in terms of the energy that's bringing, you know, they really didn't want it to end, but they weren't fighting for it either. Not because they didn't want to, because they didn't know how. The connecting energy is Ten of Swords. Too much water under the bridge. I bet both of you said that. How can we get past this resentment, this bitterness, this anger, this frustration that we have one another? It's like you forgot how good it used to be and you don't know how to go back, and you wish you could. You wish you could go back to the days when it was easy and you were just so in love and it was that wonderful honeymoon period. You both remember that and you grieve for it, but you don't know how to recapture it. It feels like you've hurt each other too much to get past it. And so the energies you're both bringing is this inability to rise above your individual resentments, your bitterness, your frustrations, and all of the wounded energies which haven't been forgiven or healed. A really sorry state of affairs, because there is genuine love here, but there is also a dramatic non-acceptance of one another. You both want to cultivate the other into something you need them to be rather than who you are. There is a non-acceptance of who you are right now, and there's no permission to be who you are right now. You drive each other crazy, even though you love each other so much. In terms of where this shifting, and we have to bear in mind that we co-create the future. So what we're looking at here is the intentions and beliefs and all the ingredients that are going into the bowl that will create tomorrow. And this is a fairly okay lineup. I know you're looking at the reversals and probably thinking, oh my God. But as I said, there's real love here. There's a real soulful connection, something meaningful that you both feel. And therefore, you know, it can be worked out, but you can't teach each other how to do that. Certainly at this stage in your connection, you each need to take responsibility for yourselves and your own growth. You've got the Three of Wands in reverse, you've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse, and you've got the Queen of Cups in reverse. Forgive me for saying path 3, but none of these energies are conducive to this working out. And your strategy is, if I play hard to get and set the firm boundary, treat them mean, keep them keen, this person will eventually toe the line. I really don't think it's going to happen like that. The harder you draw that line in the sand, the more difficult and challenging you make it, they come running back for the wrong reasons and nothing actually gets resolved. Each of you needs to learn to operate from that place of peace and equanimity, which means we're arguing to make it better, not to be right. That's important. I want you to write that down. We're arguing to make it better, not to be right. When you're communicating, you need to be very clear about your objective behind every word you share. Am I venting right now? Is that venting supportive of resolution? If it isn't, can I calm down so that I'm not using that venting to you know, in a situation where we're meant to be resolving things, doesn't mean we shouldn't have a forum for expressing our feelings. It just means there's a time and a place for them. And sometimes when we express our feelings as they arise with all of that viciousness and fury and anger, they do a lot of damage and you can't take it back. That's what this Ten of Swords is. Saying hateful things in the heat of the moment. Your person's learning to bite their tongue. You need to do the same. You're both developing emotional autonomy, and you're both learning that once out of your mouth, it cannot be taken back, and no amount of sorries fixes it. It builds resentment. You remember those stabs in the heart of those vicious comments, and each of you reels from it. But you have decided, with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, that you can never be safe in this relationship. You might even have chalked your person up as abusive without necessarily considering how you two incite toxic chemistry. Now, I will say the term abusive and narcissistic, they're bandied about very frequently these days. Most people behave in dysfunctional ways, not because they have malicious intent, not because they want to hurt you, but because they are broken and damaged and they haven't yet learned how to behave better. And if you can give people the benefit of the doubt, sometimes you can overcome those challenges. It requires a lot of self-reflection for the individual, but people can and do change. And I am a walking, talking proof of that. I can tell you hand on my heart, there's been times in my life where I've said vicious, horrible things that if you went and told someone on the Am I the Arsehole forum on Reddit, they'd say, what a bitch, get away from her, she's a psycho. You know, we have all had moments we are not proud of. We all have dark in us, and we're all capable of behaving in ugly ways. And when we have toxic chemistry, dysfunction meeting dysfunction, it all comes out in the wash and it's messy. So you've got to be really honest with yourself, because you know deep down, and this is a really dangerous thing for me to say in many respects, because we have to be discerning. A real abuser will convince you that the problem is all you. A real abuser will struggle to take responsibility for their actions and their behaviors, and they cannot be accountable. More importantly, someone who is genuinely manipulative and abusive will not make efforts to change. But how you communicate those desired changes, how you communicate the wrongs in that connection matters. Because when you attack someone and you judge them and you shame them, it may yield an apology, but it also makes them feel so bad that they actually start to dwell in that energy of I am just a bad person. And the message really needs to be, I was a person who was struggling in that moment to behave in the way I know is right. And this is what I say when give the benefit of the doubt. We all say things we shouldn't. We all do things we shouldn't. When our own pain bubbles over and poisons us and makes us act in the most horrific ways, can you recognize it as an outlet for long buried pain that's finding its way out in the re-experiencing of some trauma that matches your current circumstance? It won't always be that. There are genuine bad people who abuse others. But I genuinely believe that most of those people are just damaged, and most of them have the potential to change. I really think your person does. You're dealing with a deep person. Judgment in reverse and the Hermit. These cards show up because they are on the cusp of awakening. They are on the cusp of a beautiful evolution. This is someone who can self-reflect, who's learning to temper and tame their own impulses. They are fiery and temperamental, and you are emotionally volatile. Those are the dysfunctions you're both bringing to it. And that's typical of a feminine masculine dysfunction. Women struggle with their emotions. Men don't want to face theirs, so they express it as anger. And all of it combined becomes toxic. So what we're seeing here is you having no faith, no sense of stability or security, and also an emotional twisting or distortion of the self, which is wrapped up in resentment and bitterness, and that communicates overall this cannot work. When you turn these cards upright, you have a really different experience. You have fulfillment, you have balance and careful observation, and the safety and security of the inner child, and you have the Queen of Cups, who is divine in her emotional self, far more grown and evolved than the Knight, who also appears here. So I'm going to put them back where we are so I don't forget. Your person's intentions with the Page of Swords in reverse are equally as bitter and petty. This is someone who at some point wants to tell you what for. They've been thinking about this and there's so many things they haven't said to you yet. And we do that, don't we? We dwell on what's happened and we think, hold on a minute. You know, I really should have said X, Y, Z, or I should have pointed out blah, blah, blah. We've got the Seven of Swords here, and this is a very revealing Seven of Swords. You've got me at knife point. And so I think often this person was so afraid of your emotional eruptions and the distress that they caused you, that they would often agree with you or say what you wanted to hear just to pacify the situation. Your distress was so intentional sometimes, sorry, not intentional, intense, that they didn't feel safe communicating honestly. And here's the thing, trust and honesty goes two ways. If you can't trust someone to handle your honesty with peace, they won't be honest with you. And, you know, this comes up in relationships so often. You're saying, oh my God, well, you just should have told me that. Why didn't you tell me that? And I said, well, I was scared to. I was scared of your reaction. And you think, what a cop-out. What a lame and rubbish excuse that is. You were scared of my reaction. What did you think I was going to do, really? But actually, intense emotional distress combined with guilt tripping, you're so out of order, shaming, I can't believe you did this, is so overwhelming that it actually destroys trust. And it inhibits someone from being honest, from being real, and from speaking about things from a place where they could, you know, begin to develop and evolve. So this person is feeling a lot of betrayal. They are feeling like they need to speak some truths and that they won't have that knife to their throat anymore. They felt controlled by you because of the intensity of your emotions, and you may have felt controlled by them because of the intensity of their temper. Queen of Wands upright is a lovely energy, however, because it's way more mature than the Knight. Whereas the Knight will rush off impulsively without thinking about the consequences, the Queen is well aware of the power and consequence of her passion. And so she's got all of that fire, all of that power, but she's not going to use it without due consideration. And so this really shows us an evolved intention to come at this with a lot more restraint and a much more measured approach. I do think that deep down you both want to work it out, because we have the Knight of Cups and we see a little shooting star in the background, which is about wishes. And again, we see that cup being offered by the Knight. I do think that deep down you both still romanticize and idealize it, and you're probably on the fence sitting, oh, but it was so messy, it was so dysfunctional, it was borderline abusive in lots of ways. But I don't think you necessarily recognize yourself as an abuser either, Pile 3. I think you pin it all on them, and nothing is ever that one-sided. You know, the reality is, one, true abuse cannot exist without a willing participant, not in adult relationships, because we choose our relationships as adults. It's not like our parents abusing us, because we can't leave. We're powerless as children. But when we go into relationships and we allow someone to abuse us and we continue to choose it, we're not really being abused at all. We are party to, willing participants. We're showing up for it. We are participating in that toxicity there. Therefore we are part of the mechanics of it. And this isn't about victim blaming. It's about recognizing that you are both victims of your own individual dysfunction. Your emotional volatility is also manipulative. You're not being intentionally abusive or manipulative. Your emotional volatility isn't a deliberate strategy, but it is borderline abusive. And that looks like, well, when that happens, I can't cope, and now I'm an emotional wreck, and how bad do you feel? That has an undercurrent of manipulation. Don't treat me bad, or you'll see me on the floor, on my knees, struggling. You're literally controlling by guilt and the consequence of guilt. So even though it's not intentionally abusive, codependency can be just as toxic. And this, when you combine that with distorted masculinity coming from both sides of the fence, you get very, very fiery, intense energy. I'm going to say you are both as bad as each other. What we're dealing with here is two people that are coming at this from an adolescent perspective. Don't be defensive about that. I'm not saying, oh God, you're such a child, because the reality is when we go through trauma about specific ages, it stunts our development in those areas. For you, it was emotional. For them, it was the fire, the passion, the anger, the fury. They didn't learn to control their temper. You didn't learn to regulate your emotions. And now we see you acting out that dysfunction towards one another in this relationship, but you are growing through that experience. You've got the Queen of Cups down here and the Knight of Cups up there. You couldn't make this up. They've got the Knight of Wands up there and the Queen of Wands down here. That is evolution. It is growth. It is moving through this as growing adults. Can you give yourselves permission to have not been raised perfect, to have arrived in adulthood not knowing it all and having it all sorted out? Welcome to the club. You are not alone. Believe me, most of the world exists with some kind of dysfunction that they found in their childhood that was, you know, part of their, shall we say, their unbecoming, the unraveling that occurs in youth when we face all of that crazy upheaval in our childhoods. You're not alone. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. What we're seeing here is the potential for this connection to come full circle, but you each need to take responsibility for yourselves. Now we're going to get some oracle cards and some charms. Charm bowl just gets bigger and bigger. Let's start with some divine animal oracle cards. So this is the guidance for each of you. So for you, we've got the horse and freedom. I love that pile 3. And we've got beaver, which is work. And for your person, we've got orca, song lines. And we have got secrets and the links. So let's get some of these. I'm going to give them a stir up. And then I'll dig in and grab a few. Okay. See what we got here. So the first one is neuro-spicy. Okay, so that's pretty revealing. That suggests one of you has some kind of neurodivergence, perhaps ADHD or autism. We've got the rainbow. This is a symbol of optimism and hope, but can also indicate homosexuality or girl-on-girl, boy-on-boy relationships. We have got, sorry, I should say LGBTQ. It's so confusing now. There's so many. We've got the gramophone. So music, we had song lines as well over here. We've got introvert. Oh, I love this. This was a gift from ASO Tarot from Madison. It's a bumblebee ring, which is symbolic of the hive mind, collective consciousness, and community-oriented work. And we have got, here lie all the F's I give. I'm not going to say it out loud because YouTube doesn't like that. And I need those advertising revenues, yo. And there is a new one here, don't be a D. Please don't be. So I feel like you two have quite a funny sense of humour, and this is why perhaps that sharp tongue often causes more problems, because sometimes it's just banter and you're just being playful, but I think your person, when in the wrong mood, can react quite badly, and when they react badly, you come in with the guilt and the shaming, why you shouting at me, why you're being so aggressive and rah rah rah, and it all just explodes. But you're both quite playful in the way you handle each other, and I like that. I feel a lot of humour here. Right, so horse and beaver for advice. Let's get some more. We're going to use the Sacred Light Oracle. We've got Dharma Wheel, number 11. And Crystal Kingdom, number 10. And for your person, Antakarana. I said that really weird. Antakarana, yes. And Tibetan Fire Serpent, so much fire on your person's side. And we're going to go with this one. This is the Sacred Earth Oracle. Let's do this. And for you, we've got Balance. And for them, we have Perspective. And the connecting energy in the middle for guidance. Ready but waiting. I love that. Okay. Let's just process this. Okay, let's start with the charms. Neurospicy. if one of you has ADHD or autism, you know, those sensory processing issues, and that it's neurodivergence of the mind. If you're neurospicy, you'll understand, but you may have it for one of you and not the other, and that could be a very real bone of contention. If I'm sorry for the barking dog, let me just close the window. Job done. Okay, so if one of you isn't necessarily understanding how that neurodivergence affects your partner, that can in itself create an additional layer of challenge. Now, it's possible that because of your emotional volatility, that you have rejection sensitivity dysphoria that's associated with ADHD, or perhaps emotional processing issues that are associated with autism. Maybe you both have that, but I'm noticing that I put it down on that side. In that case, it's really important that you both educate yourselves on what that means for the other and the challenges that that presents. And sometimes that means doing very real research and predetermining how you're going to respond with those kinds of things. Now, having agreements in relationships is really beneficial. This might look like, okay, next time we both get angry and we find ourselves in the same position that we were the other day when that happened, how can we deal with it better next time? And you'll arrive at an agreement or conclusion that works for you both. And you might say, well, I'm going to take time out until I'm calm enough, and you're going to let me go. So we agree that a timeout has to be honoured. That could be one of the agreements. And you're going to go and take responsibility for your feelings and do the same rather than attack one another. That's just one example. But having these agreements, writing them down, and then remembering in the moment when these disruptions arise again to actually follow through is the first step in change. You have to be able to identify the issue. Well, actually, you know, things were already volatile, but then this happened and it all got worse. So what got worse? What were the triggers that led up to that? How were each of us behaving? What were we upset about? Well, it was the way you invalidated me when I was already emotionally overwrought, or I'd already had a bad day and you mentioned X, Y, Z. So next time I feel that trigger, how can I take care of myself better so it doesn't escalate? How can we work together as a team? You've got the bumblebee here. That's collaborative. It's about looking what's best for the greater good of the relationship, not what's best for me, not what's best for me. And actually, I feel really guided to share something personal with you on this, because I grew up in an environment where one of my parents felt it was okay to express their grievances anytime, any place, whatever was going on. It didn't matter if it was Christmas Day or someone's birthday or a family event. If they were pissed off and they wanted to shout about it, they were going to. And what they were demonstrating there is that they did not understand that their feelings were not everyone else's problem, and they're not entitled to spoil everyone else's mood, time, and energy by, without discernment, expressing their grievances loudly or painfully for everyone else to hear. So I also learned that. And so as a young adult, when something went off and I exploded with all of this emotion and grievance, I felt so justified. Well, anyone would do that in that situation, because that's what I'd learned. That's what we do. If you're angry, you just say you're angry. There were no boundaries. There was no, well, Charlotte, this isn't an appropriate time. I didn't learn that. I didn't know that. The world I was exposed to was just say what you feel and to hell with everyone else. You don't need to consider everyone else in that room or how inappropriate it is. You're not airing your dirty laundry. It's just a natural thing to do. So I didn't necessarily take responsibility for my feelings and think, well, I need to regulate that. I need to park it till later and then discuss that when I'm calm and we're in private and it's not going to impact on what's happening now. There is a time and place for raising your grievances, emotional expression, and the impulsivity that's programmed in us during childhood doesn't necessarily get resolved when we grow up unless we notice it, unless someone says, hold on a minute, you're not meant to behave like that. And do you know what? Lots of people told me I was meant to behave like that, but to me it was normal. So I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I felt so justified. I felt so entitled because that's what had been demonstrated to me. That was my normal. I hadn't learned to be responsible for my own feelings. I was happy to make them everyone else's problem. There's something of that mixed in this connection, and I needed to share that with you. You need to be operating for the greater good of this connection. You're not just meeting your needs, you are meeting the needs of the relationship. Don't be one of those. Yeah? Love only. The horse is about freedom. It's about liberation. It's the card that shows up in the sun in tarot because it represents the freedom that children feel without that responsibility and preoccupation with fear and what if. Children we perceive as powerless, but actually they are more powerfully in their present and comfortable in their own skin and free in their loving than any other age of human being, perhaps apart from the very oldest and wisest that have finally made their way back to that playful, innocent, youthful joy that we are all born with. This freedom is available to you when you do the work. It is your work to do. You can't keep thinking, well, when they change, I won't behave like that anymore. It doesn't work that way. You are always responsible for your reaction and you have to lead by example. They've got this energy of song lines, which to my mind means you're both coming at this from the same frequency or perspective, maybe for different reasons, but the energy is the same. The difference is they've kept a lot of secrets, and so they may not have revealed to you, you know, a lot of that background information that would help you connect those dots. We've got introvert here. And I think that's really important because hermit came up for them as well. Again, that shows us someone that is insular, someone that is inclined to withdraw, to not express their feelings, and perhaps even to kind of beat themselves up. This attitude of, well, I don't care, I think you both revert to that. It's a way of hurting the other. Oh, as if I'm bothered. Do you know what I mean? Acting like you don't care is a power move. It's a power move. It says to the other, you might be trying to bother me or hurt me, but I actually don't care. And it's actually so, so wounding. But there is optimism here. And there's a mutual joy and connection and relatability in music for both of you. This guidance is absolutely charming. Dharma wheel and a crystal kingdom. Karmic lessons, peer pressure and moral codes, slowing down, materialism and psychic debris. Pile 3, you have a habit of venting at your friends about all of these interactions, and you're forgetting that your friends see a very one-sided or hear a very one-sided storyline, usually when you're angry and ranting and frustrated, and usually before you've had to process or acknowledge your own role in some of it. And so the peer pressure of, oh God, you could do so much better. Why are you still doing this? There's such a D, blah, blah, blah. You know, you need to take with a pinch of salt, and there's definitely a need to kind of withdraw and recognize that the lessons and karma that is going around in circles is all of your own making as well. You guys have done this before. This is not new. Slowing down, materialism and psychic debris. This probably caused a lot of arguments between you. Perhaps you have different standards of living, different lifestyle expectations, maybe money or material issues became a problem. Excuse me 1 minute because my dog is screaming. What is your problem? My apologies, I should have paused the camera, but then I have to splice them together later and that's too much effort. Right, my dog has developed this habit of hiding her ball in a place she cannot get it. So she'll stuff it under my chest of drawers and then she'll scream at me till I get it from her. It's like an attention thing. She drives me wild. Anyway, back to the crystal kingdom. Materialism, psychic debris. Perhaps you guys get caught up in the material world conflict. So, you know, what you should spend your money on, how much is being saved, who paid for what, who owes money to who. And to you, it's particularly important because, again, you've got this perspective of provider, protector, that's your job. And, you know, you probably resent that maybe you earn more or you want more than what can be provided. You're being asked to bring this back to base, assess what's really important because this is coming up as psychic debris. Slow down. This person's pregnant. They are holding their belly. It depicts the energy of creation and understanding that you will be provided with everything when you are aligned. You don't need anyone else to provide for you. That is such an archaic perspective. And being angry with someone about their ability to materially provide is really distorted. Yes, we need to be responsible and respectful of one another and our shared visions, but we also need to understand that we are always abundant when we are aligned with ourselves and because we co-create. Now, I think you are more focused on the literal work and have maybe achieved more in that arena, and you need this person to catch up somehow. You're being asked to seriously reconsider that outlook and that perspective. I'm going to be real with you, it's shallow. It's of no consequence, because as long as you have enough, it doesn't matter where it comes from. And you might argue and say, well, you know, I want to stay at home, I want to have kids, or I want to do blah, 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 and I can't if they don't pull their finger out and fix it. But that's assuming that that's the only solution. And by suggesting it's impossible, you're actually sabotaging any opportunity to co-create what you actually want. Just trust that everything will work out in the way it's meant to. And people can be far more valuable to you than the money they put on the table. So this really isn't, unless they are deliberately financially, excuse me, I'm going to pause it this time and just deal with it. Sorry about that. So where were we? You need to stop looking at this relationship and trying to design it in your mind as what you think it's going to be based on the current conditions. This idea that this person is a financial loser and isn't going to be able to provide for you is false. And not only that, but by saying these things, you are disempowering them from achieving it. We were talking about abuse. That is abusive. It's mean. It's disempowering. It undermines and demeans someone. It objectifies them. You need to recognize that these patterns exist in both of you. And I think you both have complicated patterns with money. Theirs says crossing the rainbow bridge, resurrection coming full circle. You know, they have so much power in them. Yes, you're frustrated that they're not using that potential, but can you trust that they'll get there? The Tibetan fire serpent says seeking a higher truth, discernment, a better path and authority. You know, some of us find our way to success later in life, and sometimes in the most unexpected ways and at the most unexpected times. But you are preempting this trajectory. You're looking at the current conditions and you're saying, wow, you're never going to get anywhere and it's not good enough. I need it to be this, I need it to be that. And you're impressing upon the situation your values, your beliefs, which don't necessarily align with theirs or what is or what can be. So you really need to pull that back, because I do think they are going through a resurrection, but they really do feel emasculated and beaten down by you in that respect. Balance and perspective, ready but waiting. Big energies. And look, there's the dove of peace in her hands, but she hasn't released it yet. Both of you have the power to create peace. Both of you have the power to rebuild this, but you have to take responsibility for yourselves. You have to acknowledge your role in this whole debacle. And I would encourage you both to find a really good couples therapist, one that is going to help you not just communicate with one another, but actually help you create healthy communication boundaries. One that's going to help you create strategies for how to resolve with these challenges, how to deal with them in the moment. You want someone that's interactive and experiential rather than someone that just holds space and listens and encourages you to speak. You need balance, they need perspective. Both of you are waiting for it. Both of you want the same thing. You both want peace. You both want love. And I feel this is such a love-hate relationship, but the love is deep and the hate can be overcome. I really hope this helps pile 3. It's been amazing. If you would like to join me in the extended, we're going to go much, much deeper. I want to know more about what we've already asked. I want to get more guidance about how to move through this, especially in terms of relieving these barriers, you know, these blockages. How do you create an energetic situation in which you can coexist and actually resolve things? I think that needs to be the primary question there, but we'll be going deeper with all of it. So if you want to join me there, you can find the link down below. But thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. You're amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your messages and comments. Thank you for subscribing, and a special thanks to those of you that took the time to watch the commercials. That's our bread and butter as YouTubers. It really does make the world of difference, and above all else, if you watch that advert, YouTube will be much more inclined to promote my video to other viewers, and that helps my channel grow. So it's win-win for everybody. It's the perfect energy exchange, and I love you so much for it. Thank you. If you would like to book a private reading with me, or do classes or meditations or live events with me, you can find all the details at my website at happysouls1111.com. The web address is down below in the description box. I will see you here next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, powerful. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the black and white cat and the blue angelite. And today we are asking about you and them. This is the reading in which we look at how you and your person are thinking and feeling about each other. We look at what energies each of you are bringing into the connection, and we look at what's shifting, what's coming up next, what are you both intending, and all of the beautiful guidance that we need to help you move forward for your highest good. It's all good stuff. Right, as I'm shuffling, I should probably let you know, if you haven't done this reading with me before, I use 3 decks. So the Considerate Cat Tarot that you chose is for you, pile 4. For the middle cards, these are going to be the connecting energies down the centre. We're using the Lunar Soul Tarot. And for your person's energy, we are using this deck. This is the White Newman Tarot. So whilst I'm shuffling these, just take a moment to think about the person you're inquiring about. Just try and picture them in your mind or imagine them in any way that's right for you. And just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most today. And you can ask the universe for a sign. That's just a way for the universe to communicate with you really directly. So just trust whatever pops into your head. It could be anything at all. It could be an animal, an object. It could be something from nature, or a place name, or a song name, or a number, whatever works for you. Already quite intense energies for you, pile 4. I feel like you're struggling at the moment. I've not even drawn any cards yet. So the first thing I want to do is just try and create some very gentle, nurturing energy for you today. I feel like you need to just take a nice, long, deep breath. Just breathe and find a gentle rhythm with your breathing. Above all else, you are very stressed. You just need to relax. Just take a moment to soothe yourself. Okay, so let's start with your feelings and thoughts towards your person, part 4. We've got the 4 of Pentacles. We've got the Devil in reverse. We've got the 2 of Wands. And for the energies you're bringing to the connection or relationship, the Sun in reverse. Justice in reverse. The 5 of Pentacles in reverse. For what's shifting in your intentions, we've got the Death card. 6 of Wands. The Hanged Man. Okay, see what's coming through for your person. So their thoughts and feelings towards you and the relationship right now. The Emperor in reverse. The 8 of Cups in reverse. And the White Newman. I'm going to read this one from the book because it's a special bonus card with this deck, and it was really beautifully written. Okay, current energies that your person's bringing to the connection, please. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So that's interesting. You have this one as well. The Lovers. Intense energies. Eight of Pentacles. And for their intentions and what's shifting, what's coming next. Page of Pentacles in reverse. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And the Nine of Cups in reverse. Okay, connecting energies down the middle. We will be using the Oracle cards and the Charm Bowl today as well. Right, thoughts and feelings. Six of Wands in reverse. For connecting energies, Four of Wands in reverse. And for what's shifting, the King of Wands. Okay, let's get some Oracle cards. I'm going to move this one. Where can we still see it? Let's put it there. You can see in there. Okay, this is the Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited deck. God of Transformation, Osiris. And God of Love, Convoum. I think that's how you say it, Convoum. Right, let's do this part 4. I hope you're feeling a bit calmer. This is a really complicated situation between you and this person. Straight off the bat, and having really taken a moment to process the downloads I was getting as I was turning each card over, there is just so much happening here. And I think I want to actually start here in the middle, because we've got Four of Wands at the center, and either side of it we've got the Five of Pentacles, and this one was the Three of Wands. So this reading is about fulfillment. It's about what you both want. And remember, Four of Wands is a progression of the three, and the Three of Wands is actually about faith and optimism. In the traditional Rider-Waite tarot, what we see is someone looking out to sea, and they're on their own, but they're sort of, you know, there's this self-satisfied look about them, and they're looking out over the ocean, and in the distance you can see a boat coming in. And you'll know that term, oh, my ship's come in, my boat's come in. It means something good has landed, right? It could be something you've been working towards for ages, or, you know, it's a big moment in your life. So the Three of Wands is about the faith that that is happening. In the card, the person can see that boat coming on the horizon. Its arrival is imminent, it's right there, they can see it. And so it's the energy of fulfillment. I've done everything I needed to do, and here I am, my ship's coming in. So this is the overall energy of the reading, and that really communicates something very important about you too, in that you definitely both see this light and this beautiful, ideal and eternal connection between you. And that's really wonderful. The Four of Wands in reverse as current energies, however, shows us that even though you feel this, you can't quite seem to get that boat to dock. You know, it's kind of like the ship's always just in the distance, and you can see the potential, you can feel it in your bones, and you just wish so much it could work, but it never quite seems to. And I really feel that you're both simultaneously terrified of letting one another go, but also feel it's impossible to stay. So a really tough energy. The Five of Pentacles in reverse, when it comes up for both of you, is so significant, especially because of the sequential order of the numbers here. But fives are about massive transformation and change. They're about higher learning, and they represent a stage in your journey at which, you know, you're doing so much self-searching that you probably will need to move forward from one another in some capacity. But you're being asked to trust in what comes next. In terms of how you're feeling and thinking about each other, for you, we've got the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles is a hanging on. We've got the Devil in reverse, which feels like you just cannot release this obsession, this connection. It just eats you alive. And we've got the Two of Wands in reverse, which is the indecision that just seems to haunt you, because on the one hand, it's not fulfilling you. You want it to desperately, because the intensity of the attraction and the connection and the chemistry is such that you simply feel like it's impossible to let go. And in your person's case, we've got the Emperor in reverse. We've got the Eight of Cups in reverse, which is also about running away. You'll see it's in reverse and them not letting go. And let me just find the book for the White Newman Tarot. Where have I put it? It was on my desk somewhere. Oh, there it is. Because this is a bonus card in this deck, and it really is quite a beautiful one. Bearing in mind we're reading it as reversal, but upright is creation, starting point, divine inspiration. And so, you know, you can imagine that this in reverse, in the upright position, bearing in mind the cow or the bison is a very sturdy, stable animal, but here its feet aren't touching the ground. And it's illuminated by this green light, which is the colour of the heart, of love. And it literally, you know, we talk about spring in our step when we're high as kites and we just feel like our feet are barely touching the ground because we've just got so much good energy in us. You know, this is what this represents. So when it's reversed, you can literally see how much this person feels like the life has been sucked out of them when you two are not together. And this is what I mean about it feeling both simultaneously impossible to stay and impossible to leave, because when it's good, it's really good. But they're struggling with this too. Eight of Cups in reverse is that desperate need to run for the hills, but just feeling like you just can't do it. And I think you both feel that. You probably love and loathe each other right now, but they are feeling out of control, very emasculated, not lacking in order, and feeling like there's nothing they can do to make it work. And I think you're in the same place. We've got the Six of Wands in reverse here as the connecting energy. And that's that overriding feeling that both of you have, that this just cannot be triumphant and victorious. No matter how strong the love is, it feels like you've both arrived at the conclusion that we just can't do this anymore. It's never going to work. And there's so much pain surrounding that for both of you. In terms of the energies you're bringing, this is really interesting because the Sun in reverse is the distorted inner child. It's that inability to surrender into the moment and, you know, just learn to be present. And when you are emotionally dysregulated in that way, you're not operating from your place of authenticity. And I do pick up a deep childhood wound here for you, pile 4. And I think that's where that overbearing sadness is coming from, because you've been on this very deep healing path, and undoubtedly you're coming from a childhood experience and family unit that was deeply dysfunctional. And as you grow and change, you're going to encounter more and more resistance within that family group. You know, toxic family members or friends, they will only recognize the version of you that they have always had power over. It doesn't matter how much you've actually transformed or shifted, they will always revert to type. And when you do transform as such that you're creating boundaries, you're advocating for yourself, you're learning to stand in your power, that's when you're going to encounter the most resistance and consequently the most discomfort, because these people that, you know, you shouldn't be around anymore. It doesn't mean you should never see them again, but you are being called to assess. And look at this Justice card. Look at the crowd here. It's intense. You have a lot of people around you that no longer pass your vibe check, and you're connected to them out of a sense of obligation. You're connected to them because, I don't know, you've been friends for ages, and you put so much pressure on yourself to try and educate these people without realizing that it isn't your responsibility to break every generational cycle and every ancestral bit of trauma. You know, you can't do all of that on your own. That change doesn't just happen by you teaching people. It happens when you continue to teach yourself, and then the new people that come into your life that want to learn and grow from that energy, they're going to transform because of you as well. But you don't necessarily get to decide who they are. So a big part of this, and I think you'll relate this to your person too, is that you need to understand that you can't change people. You will inspire people. You won't change them. You need to just focus on your growth, your transformation, and trust as you let go of what isn't vibing with you. Those that are meant to transform alongside you, those that want to learn, that want to grow, that will be inspired by your example, they will appear in your life. but you can't make it be the people that have always been there. I know you think they're the ones that need to heal the most, but you're being called to recognize that they are on their path. They are on their journey. This is their karma. And this justice in reverse shows me that there is a general lack of consideration for that other people's lives might be messy and chaotic, and you have this beautiful gift for seeing exactly how. But you're not going to use that gift changing the people that you already know. That's not why you were given this gift. You've got to learn that when you offer people unsolicited advice, when you try and fix them, what you're really communicating is, I can do this better than you. I don't trust you to do it. You can't do this, so I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's a big difference when someone is inspired by you and says, tell me how you got to here. Tell me what you understand about this situation. That's going to trigger your channel in the most natural and beautiful way. And so if you found that your wise guidance and your deep insights into other people's dysfunction seems to fall on deaf ears, you need to put down the teacher's hat and trust that when you're ready to be a teacher, the students will find you. Your person can't be your student. It's not your job to educate them. And your friends and family cannot be either. Like, I understand this isn't easy for you and that you're going through a period now where you're facing the most discomfort and resistance because you're up against the edge of that boundary and you're ready to break through to the other side. So like I said, I get this isn't easy, but please, you must understand that you are so strong. You are so strong and you're going to get through this. But you've got to learn to advocate for your vibe check. If the vibe isn't right, you've got to get out of there. It's really that simple. You get to choose where you put your self-power for. You get to choose who you live with as an adult. You get to choose who you spend time with. You get to choose where you work. You get to choose the environment in which you live and spend your time. You get to choose it all. You've got to start making wise choices, especially around relationships. For them, I do think that a lot of the tragedy between you two might have arisen. I'm seeing two women in this card. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't represent two women in your relationship, but certainly for some, if you're a woman and they're a man, or you're woman, it looks to me like there could be a third party here. And the Eight of Pentacles is also the distraction of work. So, you know, this person is definitely, I don't think they've really respected you. I think they've hurt you very much. And I think this is in part what created the breakdown. And to you, it makes no sense. How can you feel something this deep and profess it to be this beautiful and this, you know, heart-wrenching, and yet still seemingly disrespect what we have? But you have to understand that they simply aren't ready. You know, this relationship reminds me of the quote that's popping to mind. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was F. Scott Fitzgerald. And he said they slipped swiftly into an intimacy from which they never recovered. Isn't that just the most relatable statement ever? I think we've all had a relationship like that, where you just meet someone and boom, it just gets deep really quick, like you just know them. And I really feel like this is what happened with you guys. And you need to understand they did feel it too. But there's something that's tearing you in polar opposite directions at the moment, and you need to trust it. And I think they're feeling it more from you, and you're taking it as a rejection of them. And from them, sorry. And because you're the one saying this isn't good enough, I won't have this, you need to change, which are all valid statements, by the way. But because their ego isn't ready to hear it, they're just so wounded by what they perceive as your rejection of them, because they don't know how to be accountable to their behavior. They don't even know why they're behaving this way. And there is a tendency to blame their lack of authenticity on you as well, which is really tough. And so I just think that you two end up hurting each other, even though you don't mean to at all. And it just all feels very heavy. and very messy. And again, this desperate desire for it to just work and be perfect, but neither one of you knowing how to cultivate that between you. And so you're really being reminded here that just because it's taking longer than you hoped and it's not happening the way you wanted it to, doesn't mean it's not going to happen at all. It just means that you have to learn to be okay with what is now, and that what is now is not being together. You know, once you start, both of you taking care of yourselves and resolving all of this uprising of stuff that has come through for you too in recent years at personal levels, I really think that both of you will be more primed and ready for a relationship. I mean, looking at the lineup down here, you know, in terms of what's shifting, and what's shifting is based on a number of factors. First of all, it's based on each of your intentions, whatever you're desiring at this moment and needing, and the actions and behaviors that arise from those thoughts and feelings is what will create the next phase of this relationship. You're only responsible for half of it, as are they. And this is the could-be trajectory. The future is never set in stone, because as individuals, our thoughts, desires and needs are transient. And every day in every way, we are creating that next stage of our journey. But the current trajectory, based on how you're currently thinking and feeling and what each of you want, is that this is just ultimately disruptive, and both of you wants to get above it, not necessarily together, but within yourself. Both of you has made the decision that I can't do this right now, and I just need to get above this painful needing and longing. And I do think you're both aligned with that, and you need to trust that this disruption is occurring for a reason. It's shaking you both free from your ego, from long-held falsehoods. It's shaking you free of your ignorance and the distorted beliefs you have about others and yourselves and each other. It's stripping you of everything you don't need right now, and you need to let it. You need to stop resisting it, because we have got death here for you, pile 4. That doesn't mean you're going to drop dead. It means that this relationship, in terms of where it's heading, you've already made that decision. You're just struggling to lean into it because it's so painful. But you know that this stage is transformative, and you're determined to be victorious in it. We've got 6 of Wands here, whereas, you know, you didn't feel like it could succeed together, and you're now learning to trust yourself and recognize you can build a future with you. And we've got the Hanged Man, which is surrender. So you know what to do. You know that you need to, you know, learn to love yourself. You know that you need to heal. You know you need to get comfortable with being on your own. I think above all else, you know that you can no longer tolerate the crumbs that this person is delivering onto you. You know that you have more self-respect than, you know, however much they love you, dealing with the BS that they are currently perpetuating, because they don't know any different. And there is a beautiful energy of acceptance here, right in your immediate future. And, you know, acceptance isn't passive. You mustn't think of it as a giving up energy. Acceptance is super creative. When we're existing in the now, just accepting it and completely unencumbered by our past, and we're just eagerly anticipating the unknown of our future, rather than trying to, you know, strategize and plan for what it's going to look like. When we're in that energy, that balance of just here and now, you know, that's when we are in our highest vibration. And that's when we begin to manifest the life that we want with intention, because we're constantly in the here and now. You know, I get a lot of people say to me, Charlotte, I'm doing all these affirmations every day. I write them down 1,000 times. I say them to myself, but nothing's happening, because it's not just words. It's energy, and energy doesn't lie. You know, you can't simultaneously say, I really want this, and then have an emotion that fears it won't happen. That's not going to create for you. You have to trust and have faith. And when you sit in that energy constantly, which is present, the present, just being in the now, not challenged by the past, not challenged by the, you know, unknown future, but just now, that's when you're manifesting. And I feel like everything you've been doing has led right up to this. It's quite beautiful. For your person, we can see I mean, I don't even know what to say about this lineup as their intentions. We've got God of transformation, God of love here. And so I think this being a transformative love, your person's not in a good place. And I'm reluctant to say that to you because I don't want you to jump into fixer mode. You know, oh, my poor baby, I need to go and help them. I know exactly what to say. I know exactly what they need to do. No, you cannot do that this time, part 4. I do think they're heading into this thinking, oh man, I'm ruined. I don't know how to deal with this. This is the worst I've hurt. This is the worst pain I've felt. They feel very abandoned and rejected. And that is going to trigger your guilt wound. It's going to trigger you to start thinking, oh my God, I have to go back and help them. But it can't. This is about self-empowerment of the individual. It's, you know, this is the King of Wands alone, and this is King of Fire. This is about owning our own energy, owning our own power. But your person is, you know, coming into this very dysregulated, whereas they were previously, I think you're both actually, I would say, quite avoidant by nature. Like emotionally avoidant. And I think because you are both emotionally avoidant, when it comes to being soft and vulnerable with one another, your pride gets wounded very quickly. And neither one of you likes this idea that you're using those weaknesses against one another during conflict. But I feel like you both subtly do. Not intentionally, it's just that things slip out when you're angry. And I don't think either one of you has malicious intent. But I think your person, you know, the kickback from this for them is, I have to shut down emotionally because I cannot ever allow this to happen to me again. And they don't know what to do and they don't know how to move on. And I really think that they feel very much in limbo and very much unprepared for the grief that will ensue for them following this breakdown. But I really do think that if it hasn't happened already, you're on the cusp of it. And even though it's breaking your heart, you know, we see this cat climbing to the top of the tree and the hanged man ascending, wanting more perspective, knowing they need to get away and create some distance. And even though they look a bit startled, like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing up here? You know, they took themselves there. They made their own way there because they were just desperate to create that distance, to just, they couldn't be, well, you couldn't be stuck here in these low vibes anymore. And I think you were starting to become really aware of how much this person was actually, you know, dragging you down. We've got Osiris, God of transformation, and the God of love, 3 and 11. You know, these are really important energies for you. 3 is creative, 11 is about karmic cycles and awakening and justice and truth. This is such an important time for you both, and you need to trust where it's all flowing to. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well for you, part 4. Get some guidance. This is the Divine Animals Oracle. And get some from here. We'll get some charms as well. Right, we've got Purpose, Shark, and Secrets Links for you, pile 4. And for your person, we've got Honeybee, Reciprocity. I heard you snort there, as if like, yeah, as if reciprocity. Someday before I die, maybe. It's that kind of indignant attitude. It's okay, I feel it, I feel it. Okay, Dolphin, Happiness. Well, that's a nice one. And from the Sacred Light Oracle, Language of Light. So these are such beautiful cards. And Magical Alchemy. Love that one. And Angelic Realms. And Light Body. And we're going to use this deck. This is the Sacred Earth Oracle. We've got Discernment and Formation for you, pile 4. And for your person, we've got Preservation and Brilliance. Okay, and for connecting energy, I'm going to use this one. This is the Divine Abundance deck. flow. Allow me, divine, to move with the flow and respond with calmness and peace. Second time dolphins showed up. Right, let's get the charms. Got a very big bowl. I'm going to turn them over first, then I'm going to dig in and choose some. Give them a good shake. Whoa. See what we've got here. We have got Wizard in Training. What's this one? Tears of My Enemies. Adventure awaits, an aeroplane ticket. Too many tabs. And a flame. Laptop on fire. It's a little kitten in a bottle, all bottled up. The White Rabbit. Math student tears. Lots of tears in bottles. I feel like we need one more to even it out. Okay, we got two more. We'll have one as a connecting energy. So the first one for your person is Sad Songs. And then we've got the Winged Heart and Rise Above as a connecting energy. That's quite beautiful. Okay, guidance for you, pile 4. I want to come back to this family. And we've got purpose and secrets. And I really feel like we touched upon earlier how you weren't meant to break all the cycles in your family, that you're just like a catalyst for the beginning of that. And, you know, you will manage to change and transform some of the people in your family, that probably by observation rather than you trying to teach them. But you need to let go of responsibility for the whole. And you've also got to recognize that not everyone is ready to grow. Not everyone is ready to meet themselves on that healing bridge and see themselves. Healing takes a degree of self-awareness that for some people that have carried a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, you know, maybe they've really lived in the shadows and they're starting to be challenged by that in their conscience. It's very, very painful to go through that and to acknowledge that maybe you haven't been the person you hoped you would have been. And not everyone is ready to do that. You need to have the courage to do it alone and to be disliked for doing it. You know, you can't change so people will like you, and you can't try and change them so that you will like them more. You are wonderful as you are, and you need to accept them as they are and just create healthy boundaries and remove from your day-to-day life the people that aren't vibing at the same frequency, because you will find people who know how to love you in the ways that you need to love. And when you start loving yourself enough to let go of all the things that aren't serving you and that are, you know, creating more drama for you, this is when everything is unlocked for you. The same light that you see in others is in you as well. But you do have a purpose here. The shark is a determined energy. We've also got this mermaid energy here. It's number 36, which is creative and loving. And you've been stuck in the wrong job for a really long time as well. And you've kept these kind of magical aspects of yourself. We've got alchemy here and language of light. So, you know, this you always being a wise counselor and always understanding how people's dysfunctions and distortions are being expressed in relationships. You just see it really clearly. And that's because you are going to help people in that way. But you're not going to help people when it's unsolicited. Now is the time to lean into purpose. But you can only do that if you're discerning enough to create an orderly life without the interruption of other people's low vibes to wreck it. You know, the biggest act of self-love is recognizing when someone's company takes more from you than it gives. If it doesn't feel good, if you're left feeling drained and unfulfilled, it's not for you. Pay attention. You don't need to rationalize it. It's really simple. This doesn't feel good anymore. It doesn't matter what your obligation or perceived responsibility is. It doesn't matter the potential you see in it. You've got to know when to recognize this is no longer good for me. And once you've nailed that, that's when you'll start helping other people. that's when you'll be empowered to. You have to be able to honor yourself first. You can't truly lead others if you're not leading yourself. And so this connection is a real, it's a big lesson. It really is. For your person, the honeybee says reciprocity. Of course, that's the one you had a little snort about. Team effort, charity, validation, patience. He also got light body. You got language of light. Independence brings comfort, past restrictions, ancestral healing. So you need to trust he's going to get there. Remember, this guidance, they're not watching the reading, you are. So even though this is technically for them, you know, this is as much for you. We've got reciprocity, happiness, angelic realms, and team effort. I really think your person's going to travel. We've got perseveration here as well. We've got brilliance. And I think you'll find that when something, yeah, look, I've just seen they've got the airplane ticket came up on their side. So when we go through something really hard and we hit rock bottom, it is often the catalyst for a dramatic change. For you, we have magical training, occult training, which is going to help you create order and help you apply all of that power and magic that you already have in more determined and deliberate ways. Don't bottle up your intuition. You know, we've got the cat in there, which is representative of intuition, but I like that it's held within a star. I feel like it's protective as well. So this is also about taking care of your energy, respecting your energy, understanding when it's not safe to be around some other people energetically. Once you start to feel triggered, drained, upset, bothered, irritated, that is your entire state of being telling you, I shouldn't be here. This isn't right for me. I don't feel comfortable. It's literally your energy's cry for help. It's like they're pushing that alarm button saying, sound the bell. We are right now in crisis. Nothing feels good. You've had to normalize intense trauma, and yet your body is still talking to you about it. Your feelings are still communicating with you, but you are not acting. Being in your power is acting for yourself in those moments. I don't feel good. I'm going to take responsibility and I am going to look after myself. You know, this white rabbit energy and this tears of my enemies. You know, down the rabbit hole, it's about hiding, isn't it? It's where rabbits run to when they're under attack. And tears of my enemies, this has been bottled up. You know, you can take a little taste of it in measures that suit you, so you have time to self-reflect, because it's not just about ignoring what people say about us. It's about having the time to process it calmly and clearly, where we can be discerning and we can get some clarity on, was there any truth in what they're saying, or were they just being vicious? Because the biggest challenge with having been abused is that everyone becomes a potential abuser. And it's a really subtle, nuanced difference between someone that's venting and maybe offering you some constructive criticism and someone who's genuinely being a massive dick. So, you know, you have to learn to step away, to take your time and to process those kind of intense conversations at a pace that's right for you before taking it to heart and making any decisions about who you are or who they are. In your person's case, again, I don't know what the maths tiers is. Maths student tiers. Maybe they are a maths student, or maybe they're really shit at maths and bad with their finances, but they're crying about it. And we've also got like this laptop burning down, too many tabs open, everything on fire. So, you know, maybe burnout and the pain. We've got sad songs. They'll just take off. But this is really positive, and they might go in a charitable capacity, because it says independence brings comfort. You know, and this is from past actions, ancestral healing. I've been a really shit person, so I'm going to go and do something really good somewhere else to try and build up my self-esteem again. And we can see that this is about self-preservation and finding their own light. So it will work out. You know, rise above. That's such a beautiful connecting energy to come up. You know, take flight. Like the little cat at the top of the tree, allow me, divine, to move with the flow and respond with calmness and peace. You know, this is such a beautiful energy. Dolphins represent joy. They represent happiness. I definitely think that you could do with a trip. But in your case, I would look at your cartography astrocartography. So you can get your natal chart mapped on a map of the world, and it will show you all the locations in your life that are significant to you. So look at those areas where you have magic and alchemy in your chart, and try and find where on the map they are and kind of tie it up. You have teachers incoming, pile 4, like we've got wizard in training, but you need to let go of this and get yourself in a high enough vibration that you begin to align with the path that was meant for you. I really think that you are moving into purpose, and in order to do that, you need to be free, and I think they do as well. So you need to step away from this knowing that, you know, this love was worthwhile, and remember what came through earlier. Just because it's not happening how you wanted it to doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You have to be patient. You have to learn to go with the flow. You have to learn to trust that everything that's meant for you will always flow back to you. But for now, I do want to dig deeper in terms of how can you flow? How can you start healing from this? What else are you not acknowledging about yourself or them in this connection that's keeping you stuck? And how can you unlock that to bring about healing? That's what we're going to do in the extended reading. The link for that's down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. I love you guys so much. Thank you to those of you that watch my commercials. It really makes the world of difference and is the perfect energy exchange. I really super appreciate it. And thank you for your beautiful comments, for hitting the like button, and for subscribing. I will see you again soon, but in the meantime, check out my website. It's at happysouls1111.com. The link's down below, and you can book a range of services with me, private readings, classes, and all kinds of cool stuff. I'll see you over there. If not, I will see you here. Lots of love. Bye.